are going live. Going live. It should be. Ready? Maybe. If you can hear me, I'm in the process of waiting for it to say we are live. We are live.
We're live on YouTube.
Yes. Okay. Welcome, welcome. I am Stacy Harder, and I am here with my mother, Dr. Heather Harder, and we are here for our Sunday's call of Spirituality Meets Politics. What's up, Paul? And this is a time that we started because right now people kind of don't want to be in politics, and we need as much love and as much light in politics. What's up, Mr. Keith? So this is a very important time to be able to come together and discuss if you want. I'm going to pass it over to my mom because now I have to do my stuff. So go ahead, Mom. I'm going to do my technology because sometimes doing both of them is a little challenging. But welcome.
Well, thank you. And welcome, Keith and Paul, wherever you are. And our Zoom friends, for those who are online, they can join us on the Zoom call. And then I get to actually see your face, perhaps, and we get to talk and you get to engage as well. If you're online, just write your comments in and Stacy will interpret them for me. But this is meant to be a time to come together to talk about that dreaded topic of politics. You know, growing up, we're taught we don't, in polite company, you don't talk about politics or religion. And in truth, those are the two things that will have the greatest impact on your life. And so we break that sacred wall and we talk about whatever we want to do, but we do it privately. Our public portion is, we call in protection, guidance, and truth. No formality, we just do it. And then our second portion is when we do our light work. We actually use the light to spread around the globe and do the difference that we can do. And then we go on just the Zoom and we talk about the politics. And so, but we don't have that broadcast because of all the censoring and the challenges that are out there. So if you want to hear our light work from previous calls, you can listen to that at Stacy's YouTube channel. How many followers do you have now?
60. Woohoo!
There you go.
And I just want to say I have a friend that Brandon just got on, and I want to say congratulations because him and the amazing Jessica are having a baby together. And I think that's amazing. I remember when you all first met. So anyways, I just want to say a hello to him.
Okay. So first thing you do, we ask for protection, we ask for guidance, and we ask for truth, and to be able to actualize that truth. And so no formal process, no sage, no burning anything. It's just the intention. And so if you will each in your own way set the intention to have that happen, we are being bombarded with all kinds of falsehoods. And, you know, when we put our intention out to know truth, then literally we screen out all that isn't truth. And that's very important. So with that, yay. If there's any questions about that process, please send them through Stacy or pop up. If you're on Zoom, just talk up when you feel like it, or raise your hand electronically or physically, either way. And then the next part is we play with the light. Any comments before we get started with the light? As we know, everything on this planet is a frequency, is an energy, is a vibration. From us through every living and non-living thing on the planet. So when we're playing in this energy field, we're literally putting a ripple into the planet that can change the planet, which is really the reason why we came, to raise the vibration from a third dimensional frequency, which is much more dense, to a higher frequency, which is much lighter. So we're wanting to shift the dimension on this planet from third dimension into fifth dimension. Fourth dimension is sort of a transition phase, and we are meant to reside, to live in, to establish fifth dimension on this planet. The reason why those dimensions are so important is because they determine perception. They determine the level of consciousness on this planet. And so as we shift the vibration individually, we create a ripple within the collective, and then the collective is shifted. And as we shift the collective, it in turn impacts every individual on the planet and everything on the planet. So it's this wonderful circle of energy that as we play in, we change, sort of like dropping a pebble into a lake. It just creates a ripple that goes out and out and out. And the more you play in the light, the more your intentions are to build this light, the more you do. And with that, I would like you just to imagine yourself as a light. Just forget the physicality and go to the core essence, which is energy, which is light, love, frequency, all the same thing. We're just feeling ourselves at our core level. And then we want to go to our center, our happy place. When you go to center, you are most connected with your divine forces, your divine team. It is an intention. There is no physical place that we would call center. It is an energetic place. And you go there with your intentions. When you're in this center, just imagine this pillar of light and just step into the light. Step into that pillar, and then the light from the universe comes down to you and through you into the earth. You are doing your duty as a light worker when you allow this light to come to you and through you into this earth. We are here to anchor heavenly energies to our physical world. Now, I close my eyes just so I can feel it more clearly, and it blocks out all the distractions. Eyes are not magic. If you want to be open-eyed, you can be closed-eyed, whatever's comfortable for you. But for me, closing my eyes just makes it a little bit more authentic. So while you're in this pillar of light, just imagine increasing this flow. Whenever you're sending the light to people, whenever you're sending a light to anything, just imagine going back into this pillar so the light is coming to you and through you. If you're only sending light and love from yourself, not allowing that supply to be replenished, you can become drained, tired, exhausted. You don't want that to happen. It should never deplete you. It should always increase your energy, or at least keep it stable. And so if you will now imagine just taking that light and love and sending it out into the atmosphere. Just see it as this huge hose of energy that goes up and out, surrounding this earth with this love. Again, love and light and God all carry the same vibration. And then send love and light out into the planet. Imagine after the atmosphere is completely filled, that we send it into the planet, filling every cell of every creation on, in, and around this planet with our love. And every vacancy that exists on this planet, we want to fill with love and light. Underground, on ground, round the ground. Just fill it with light and love. And then send light and love to all the weather patterns on the planet. The weather patterns are how the earth finds her balance. We want to just send love. Now, on this planet, there are beings who sort of stray from the light. We call those our lesser light friends. And some of those lesser lights have their own agenda. They want to alter, impede, change the destiny of this planet. And so we love them. Those that choose to destroy the atmosphere, destroy the earth, impact in a negative way, we just want to love them. So imagine like spokes coming out of the earth. There are all these points of light going to these beings who are trying to slow the progression of this earth's vibration. This is a divine plan. Divine plan says Earth will move into its fifth dimensional destiny. And we're here to help. And we just love it. Now, as we talked about earlier, the collective consciousness is created through the repository, as a repository of all the thoughts, action, deeds, vibrational footprints of everyone who's ever been on this planet and everyone who is on this planet. I see it as sort of a mist. And so, if you will, just join me as we fill it full of love and light. The collective consciousness is what ties us all together. Remember, I am you and you are me. We are all part of everything we see. The lesser lights are part of us, and we're part of the lesser lights. And we love them. And right now, as Trump has stirred the pot and seems to be jumping back in the pot, send him love. So he too can fulfill divine purpose. And Biden, as he continues to be our named leader, send him love. He too fulfills divine purpose. All the people in Washington serve divine purpose. So love them. See them all being surrounded with little bubbles of light. And now imagine all the world leaders all around the globe who have the power to make decisions for others, who are doing what they're doing, sometimes for greater good, sometimes for personal good. But let's love them. All those who have the power to influence, to change, to direct. We love them. All the leaders at the national levels, at the state levels or province levels, at the local levels. We just love all those people who are in a position to make a difference. And of course, those at the international level, whether they are elected, appointed, or self-chosen. The World Economic Council, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. Imagine all those members and more, and see them, each member becoming glowing as they're filled with light and love. We just love them. And we certainly have people online in the media who attempt to control, manipulate, change, alter, influence humanity at various levels. You want to love them. In fact, imagine the wireless and the wired connections of all the internet, that superhighway, and just see it aglow with light and love. That every message that goes along this highway is just filled with love and light. On this planet, there are those who think they have the right to make decisions for others. They think they have the right to alter someone else's free will, whether through influence or violence. Want to love them and love the people who are being controlled. It doesn't mean we accept what they do, but when we love them, we remind them of their source. We give them an opportunity to move closer to their divine potential. We're not doing it to manipulate or control another. We're doing it to provide another opportunity. And then we continue to send light and love. And anyone and everyone on this planet who needs this light and love or wants this light and love, share it freely, openly, without restrictions. Many, many children came in to this planet in immature bodies, but they're very mature souls. Their soul knows exactly what they're doing to make a difference, to make a statement. And so send love and light to all the children on the planet, not as helpless victims, but as spiritual masters who are walking their path of truth in their own way. And because we are all here from free will, imagine sending love and light into your body. Whatever you send out comes back to you, so allow this love and light to come back to you now. Open your consciousness, open your body, open your mind to this flood of love and light. Feel it course through your veins. Feel it stabilize your DNA. Feel it harmonize with your greatness. You are much more than you can imagine, and just allow this energy to be freely used by your body. Command it. Anything in your body that is not balanced, not whole, not working to its greatest potential, let this love and light heal it, seal it, harmonize it, empower it. Take a deep breath, anchor the energy. Just feel how it feels to be centered, to be at peace, to be in love. When you're ready, just come back to the here and now, refreshed, revitalized, rejuvenated, relaxed, and ready. In all things you're grateful. So be it. And now we're ready for the conversation piece. If anybody online has a question, has a comment that would like to join before we take us offline, please feel free to ask it now.
Well, and if you are just joining, we usually have the conversation private because the current state of the world is we're not able to speak freely without being censored. So we usually go into a private conversation if you have anything or issues you want to talk about. Obviously, if it's open, then you can talk about it. But if you do want to join us on Zoom, you can. So.
Got the number there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then not to forget, on Thursday nights, we actually do a spiritual conversation. This one has, it's spiritual too, but it's got more political flair on Thursday nights. It's just spiritual and personal growth and consciousness and so on.
And I would add to that, we've also had a lot of alien discussions around this too. So sometimes you say those are better questions for Sundays. But yeah, it's a pretty open book.
Okay, so is there anybody who wants to add anything or say anything on line?
Not yet. Esme was talking about how she normally likes to meditate with their eyes closed.
I do too. It just blocks out the distractions. And I'm looking at a screen that has my picture on it, which is really distracting.
Well, and I just want to say that you got this. This has been an intense week with the energy coming in for the planet. I had a lot of head sensations. I've been feeling the energy big time. And so to me, my advice for you for the week would be, it's a good time to sometimes sit with your shadow work. But I think if you've done shadow work, great. It's preparing you for even some deeper unconscious pulling out stuff. So I think that there's a lot of stuff coming up for a lot of people, but just breathe through it. Do your grounding exercises. You got this. Remember, everything happens for a reason. It's all divine. Weird dreams for sure. Yeah, there's a lot going on. The dreams have been a little bit more intense. And we just had the new moon in Cancer. So a lot of emotions, a lot of stuff. I actually had a girlfriend have a crab crawling in her bedroom, and she took pictures and video of a little mini crab on her curtains.
What state is she in?
I think she's California. Shadow works equals spend a lot of time alone. Yeah. Tears. It could be a little bit of everything. I want to say it's California she's in. I think she's LA. Sometimes I forget where my friends are. What's up, Miss Maper? We just did the meditation. But I was just talking about, for me, the energies coming in have been pretty intense. Breathing through it.
And yelling at mama.
Well, I yell at you because you're hard hearing. You don't hear when I'm set, so you keep saying, talk louder. So then I talk louder and you think it's yelling.
Okay.
But yes, we've been pushing each other's buttons. The joys.
Okay. So is there anything else coming from online? Otherwise, we'll go to our private group.
Yes, I just want to say hippie Earth Art X Soul. It's a good long name. Talks about shadow work may not be easy, but it's the most rewarding, and lessons are blessings. Yes, and I always say your triggers are your teachers, which are your biggest gifts. And so if you can start to learn those triggers and shadows are actually your largest gifts, we can kind of move through them a little bit easy. Hippie at heart and soul. There you go. Thank you. It's all at once, the whole thing. But yeah. And if you're new to shadow work, I recommend the Debbie Ford book. That is The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And just so you know, if you see me looking around, I have 3 different screens I go in between just to kind of keep an eye on the chats and whatnot. So I get They track sometimes. But bless. It's so beautiful that you guys get to join us, especially with the intentions and the love and light, because we are in some really important times. And one of the things I also think we should put a little prayer out for Australia. I don't know if you've heard, but apparently they're going to door with armed guards for the jabbing. So we'll
Send love and light to all those in Australia.
yeah,
But
no.
again, the what's going on in our government is a reflection of what's going on with the people. And that's why we're doing this shadow work, because all this has been called in, all this has been allowed because we have not been vigilant. We have not watched. We've traded our sovereignty for security, and now we're paying the price. And so, what's going on to Australia, they're not victims. They have been co-creators of this experience as we have. And so it's really important that you look at what role are you playing in this drama. Nobody on this planet is a victim. We're all experiencing it because it's part of our work to move through. We wanted to experience it.
Well, would you like to do any little? Before we began, you were talking about energy and reading some of the energies and stuff like that. Do you want to share anything to help people?
Well, just what I said, sending light and love out to Australia and all the Australians. Okay, many spiritual gurus make big to-dos of all kinds of things. They have ceremonies and they have rituals and there's all kinds of procedures and all kinds of things. And if you believe you have to do all that, you do. I believe I'm a little godlet, and what I say happened instantly. So when I say I'm sending love and light out to Australians and Australia, I know it happens instantly. So for me, that's all it takes. So I did it when I said it. If someone else wants to spend more time doing it, yay. But I have opened that door. I have flooded that continent. I have flooded those people. And then what they do with the light and love is free will on their part. If you're in a bad place and someone sends you love, it can actually make you bad, make you worse, because the energy, your wonderful, loving, well-intended energy hits up there with their chaos, and they become more chaotic because they're not harmonizing with that energy. So when I send love and light out to someone, it is an option for them. It's an opportunity. They can use it, they can reject it, they can fuel themselves of it and make themselves worse. It's up to them. I don't determine the outcome. I'm not going to put up armed guards so we block those people coming door to door wanting to give them the jab. That's their job. I can't change their destiny. And the only time I would is if I'm asked by spirit to do it. If I'm asked by spirit to do something, I'm going to do it, always putting out there that for highest and best good.
Okay, so for someone who doesn't necessarily know the difference between spirit coming in and their own voice, what would you say is their best?
Trust their gut. Trust their gut. If they're doubting themselves, that opens the door to all the lower energies. They're creating that too. If you have full confidence that you put your protection on and that you are protected by the divine, however you define that divine, then you are. Your words make it so. So if you feel that you might be hearing something that is less than positive, you'll feel that energetically. Your body is the truth teller. If you feel something is coming from the highest sources, you'll know that too. You'll feel it. But if you doubt yourself, you'll doubt the connection, you'll doubt the message, you'll doubt everything. And it's the belief that is so powerful. So you have to move through your doubt and to trust. And you can test it. I mean, when I first started, again, I've been playing with this for so long that I can feel lots and lots of things. But when I first started, I checked out everything. I double tested everything until I knew the source was positive. And then you can't keep testing after you know. Then you have to just accept it. And I haven't always liked what I've been told, but I trust what I've been told. And I especially things I was told 20 years ago are coming into fruition now. So it's kind of amazing. But each person has to do that. What's their what's their what's their own level of trust? Trust is exceedingly important. And if you've been wounded, get over it and then get back to trust.
So Esme said a dragonfly came to visit her today, and it was a bright blue one. Do you know what dragonflies symbolize? I've been seeing them every day.
Well, part of my amphibian pond was to attract dragonflies, because dragonflies lay their larvae in water and then.
Are you looking for animal speak?
Yeah, I think I packed it.
I think it's on the shelf next to you. No, I think it's on the side. Not behind you, but side. Because I saw it there one day. Like top middle left corner, I think.
I packed away a lot of books, so I think I might have packed it.
Well, Animals Speak, for the record, is a great book I've had since I was a teenager, but my stuff's in storage. So I don't know where it is. But it is an amazing book. I believe it's a Native American version of what all kinds of totems and things mean. So.
Andrew, forget his last name. Anyway, it's an interesting book. If you go on Google and look at the spiritual meaning of dragonflies, you can also look it up.
Well, while Mom's looking too, I do think and butterflies are coming around a lot. I think we're in this major. We're literally. I feel like we've gone to that dark caterpillar stage of putting. The words escaping me, not Christophorus. What is that word?
Cocoon.
When you go into
cocoon.
It's called
chrysalis or cocoon, depending on which species it is.
Okay. I feel like so many of us are in that total surrender, total changing of state, but yet at the same time, like really having to go back into the center, going back into the thing. And I think we're starting to emerge a little bit, but I think that we are in major transition and transformation. So I'm not surprised that dragonflies and butterflies are showing up a lot. It's just, there's a lot going on. You want to add anything since you're back now, not looking? Okay. Esme asked if we had a question or a topic on our Zoom conversation. And I said it's quite open to wherever the questions lead. But just for the record, we go through anything that's kind of in the political world as well as understanding how it works. For those of you that are new, if you do want to join us on Zoom, the Zoom is 831-755-38434. Boom! You can screenshot or you can write it down or rewind or whatever you're doing. So that's all.
And if you haven't watched the interview I did with Sean Stone, I do recommend watching it. One, it's interesting, but two, it has a lot of information about this kind of thing on it, what you could do and how you can make a difference.
Okay,
and
up a little bit. So you want to repeat that?
Repeat it?
Yeah, you said, what does the conversation have?
Sean Stone, if you Google on YouTube, Sean Stone, it'll come. One of the interviews he did was with many. It says many were called, few were chosen, or something like that. That's the interview with me. And so for an hour, you get to listen to me and Sean talk about the transformation and what's going on and how to deal with it and whatnot. So it's rather interesting. I've gotten some very nice feedback from it.
Okay, we have one question.
So, okay.
It was very good. Sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
Oh no, tell me. Keep going.
It was very good. I saw your comment on to write a review on it, and I could not see where to do that.
I think they froze the comments.
They're open again. It goes on and off. Sometimes the comments are closed and sometimes they're open, but it's just a YouTube comment. So
Okay.
thank
I'll
you for
keep
trying
checking.
to. Okay, thank you.
So,
But it was at last time I checked, it was at 5,500 views, which is
it's amazing.
a few more than we get here.
I'm excited. I have 60 people as my subscribers. I'm like, hey, I'm at 60. Okay, so we have a question. And I want to say your name's Paula. I think I'm correct.
Hey, Paula.
You talk
I
about.
want to marry you someday. You remember that song too, don't you? Okay.
Yeah. I think Josie does because she's smiling.
Yeah. Oh, it was sung by Paul and Paula.
All right. Well, Paula would like to say, do you also talk about channeling too? She just wanted to know what is a walk-in. She's heard it before and wasn't sure what it means. So I'm going to start with saying that everybody has different words for different things. So I think it is a brilliant idea to say, what do you mean by this? Because we all have different terminology for everything and different ideas of even what love is. It's a perfect example. What love to me is, how I receive love, how I give love is very different than my mother, who I came from her and I'm half her DNA. So it's a good place to start with. What do you mean by that? Now I'm gonna let Mom take over that question.
Thank you. Well, if you look up the word run in the dictionary, there are 29 different definitions for the word run. Every word has multiple meanings depending on the use. When I was in high school, my senior literature project for senior English was on love and the different kinds of love. So I go back into my research for love for many, 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 many decades. So there's different kinds of loves for lots of different things. So I'm going to tell you from my spiritual knowledge and experience what I know to be a walk-in. There are times where people go, oh, hell with this. I don't want to be alive anymore. I'm going to just jump off a bridge and end it, or something along that line. The soul, body, mind, spirit has said, I'm out of here. So rather than waste a perfectly good physical form, a spiritual being, whether you call them an alien or a different soul process, will come in and take over that physical structure. I've heard people talk about having multiple personalities, where there's one personality that's has a different handwriting and a different voice pattern and a different, oftentimes there'll be different genders. But within one physical structure, there's very distinct personalities. Well, that's sort of what happens when one personality leaves, one soul spirit combination leaves, and another comes in. And sometimes they're prearranged. Someone needs to come in to, let's say, maybe be a major influencer, but they go, oh, hell no, I'm not going in that and going through that first 20 years. That's just not for me. I've been a child. I don't want that anymore. So they agree to come in at age 30 and take over someone else's body, while someone else says, okay, I'll leave at 30 and you can come in and then you can do your thing. And sometimes it's like a traumatic event. You get bonked on the head, you get in a near-death experience, and people say, oh, he changed totally when he was in this car accident. Well, yeah, they do. So it's literally a transference of personality, ego, soul, but the physical structure stays the same. And so that's what a walk-in. There's a lot of people who profess to be walk-ins, but from my experience, my knowledge, if they're telling you they're a walk-in, they're not a walk-in. That walk-ins do not broadcast being a walk-in because it defeats the whole purpose of, it's like a spy. if a spy would go around telling you, I'm a spy, it kind of defeats the purpose of being a spy. So it's the same thing with walk-ins. When a walk-in comes in, as if you've been on these calls a lot, I'm very energy sensitive. I can tap into your energy and tell you all kinds of things about you. Well, that energy is part of your totality. And so if a walk-in comes in, their energy replaces the old existing energy, and it'll be completely different energetic imprint. If there is no energetic imprint shift, then it isn't a walk-in. It's an illusion, it's a drama, it's a lots of things, but it's not a walk-in. The same thing with the energetic shifts when you have people who profess to be channeling, that they're channeling, especially when they're called the trans channelers, so that they are not conscious of what's coming through. They're sort of in a different, they're in a waiting room someplace while this energy comes in. If there's not an energetic shift with that person, there's no trans channeling. It's just drama. So pay attention to the energy. It really does tell you a lot about what's going on. And trans channelers usually can only do a couple sessions at a day because it's so hard on their body. It's like being, a 110 air conditioner that plugs into a 220 line, or vice versa. Energetically, it's very hard to make that shift on your physical structure. The same thing with walk-ins. Usually when there's a walk-in, they'll go through a period of a lot of adjustments health-wise, because the physical structure is really impacted by the energetic shift. They can be, I've heard people in my presence say, I would really like to be a walk-in. I want to have an alien come in and take over my body. And I think, you're stupid. You put that out there, you're inviting someone to come in and take over your body. And the one that's going to come in and take over your body may not be the one that you'd like to share your body with. And so it can be really, really challenging. And we've seen all the movies of possession and whatnot, and it can be as ugly as the worst of those. So you never want to ask for it. If it's a soul agreement, then so be it. But it's not something people would encourage, and it really is not as prevalent as some people would make you believe it is. I've just found that a lot of people who profess one thing, it doesn't hold truth in my reality.
Well, and it's definitely been coming up. I think a lot of people have been using the term around a lot.
Well, I would be real skeptical and do my own research if someone's saying they'll walk in or whatnot. I've had people ask me to check out different people that are walk-in, that profess to be walk-in, and I haven't found them. So
we have a question, which I think is very appropriate to our Sunday conversations, is Hollywood makes aliens look harmful, but sure they're not.
I didn't understand a thing you said. Say it again.
It's about aliens.
Say the whole question.
Okay. Hollywood makes aliens look...
Oh, Hollywood. Okay.
They look scary and harmful. But he said, but he's sure they're probably not. So, would you like
There are some. Again, it's like humans. There are people on this planet who are friendly and kind to their core essence. There are people who have a friendly face, but are really mean and ugly and nasty on the inside. There are people who are really mean and nasty looking on the outside and the inside. And there are people who are really mean and nasty looking on the outside, but on the inside, they're really sweet and kind. And we've got that whole spectrum in human existence. And the same thing is in alien existence, what I'll just lovingly call our star friends, that some look harmless but are really nasty. Some are nasty but are really harmless. And then some are nasty and on the inside and outside. So you just have to use the same level of discernment on the a life alien life form as you would on a human life form. How would you check out a human before you sort of invite them in to stay in your house? There's things that you would do sort of to feel them, to determine, to get references. The same thing with aliens. One of the things that is universal law is they're not allowed to lie. So when you meet an alien, when you run in fear, that suppresses your energy and gives them permission to do what they want to do because you've lowered your energy. If you stand in your power and you say, do you come in the light? Do you come in the light? If they're come in the light, they'll go, yeah, I come in the light. That's wonderful. They can't lie. But if they go, well, that's a silly question. Why do you ask me that? And they do all kinds of things to get you distracted. That's not a good sign. So do your own investigation. And then always, if you do not come for my highest and best good and the highest best good of all around me, then go away. You do not have the right to be here, because as a human being, you have the right of way on this planet. And so command them, demand that they do what you want. Because you were brave enough and strong enough and wise enough and courageous enough, you came into this planet. Oh, I want a kiss too. Tell them to give me a kiss.
You're muted.
Anyway, because you came into this planet, you have the right of way. You can direct the spirit world. You can direct the star world, because you're in physical embodiment. So use your powers.
Okay.
But if you get into fear lowers your vibration, makes you totally vulnerable.
Okay. So and that's a very important part, is to also, so we have two questions. Second was astral projection, which we'll get to in a second. The follow-up to when you're talking about the channeling and the walk-ins.
Yeah.
He asked, can you channel without being a walk-in then? And I want to start with saying that we're all super, super, people call them gifts. I'll call them a gift. We're all connected, but it's like having a space speeder like in your room, but the cord's not plugged in. So it's not going to turn on. You can see it, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to put any heat. It's not going to be able to put the fan on until you actually plug it in. And as Mom just mentioned, we are free will. So this is a planet of choice, and you decide. And so in order to be able to be a channel, you have to plug in. And some people plug in through breath work. Some people plug in through yoga, through meditation, there's all kinds of ways, getting quiet, listening, but that source connection to me is always internal. And you have all of the gifts, as Jesus would say in the Bible, and I've never read the Bible, I just quote my mom's quote in the Bible, of whatever Jesus said, whatever I could do, you could do this and greater. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at my mom laughing at me by what I just said. But it's true. We have so much innate abilities that if you're ready, call it in. But as a human being in this thing, we're all frequency and vibration, right? That's everything. And so if you want to be able to do things at a higher vibrational state, then you have to be at a higher vibrational state. So usually channels have clear channels, and energy, frequency, what you're putting in, not only food, but thoughts. What is your mental diet? It really affects a lot of the stuff, but you are so powerful, and nobody has more gifts than you. They might have more turned on than you do, or tapped in or tuned in, but it's all a choice. I just want to start with that. Okay, Heather, take her away about channeling.
All right. So much is going through my head. I don't even know how to sort it out to start. All right, first of all, defining channeling. By definition, channeling means information is coming to you and through you. You're bringing information in for someone else. That's what a medium is. They're the go-between. So when you're channeling, you're bringing information in for some purpose outside you. And so that is a choice everybody, if we just talk about being tuned in, being connected to ourselves, everybody is connected. You cannot be on this planet and not be connected. You cannot be unplugged from spirit. It just doesn't happen. What happens is the level, again, going back to trust, the level of trust in your connection, and then being able to discern when and how that's coming on and off. The world does not need another person who's going to hang their shingles out and channel for you. The world needs 1 million people who are plugged in and who are able to recognize and speak truth. And so, and then even within channeling, there's various kinds. As I mentioned, trance channeler, which is where you literally lose consciousness and you're not aware of what's coming to you and through you. And then there is conscious voice channeling, which is, just sort of like being a part of the conversation. You know exactly what's being said and how it's being said. So there's different kinds of channeling. There are different kinds of channelers. I've met through my work, hundreds of channelers. Many are authentic, many more are not. And so it's like anything, choose wisely. If you're going to hire a plumber, there'll be some good ones, and there'll be some that are not so good. If you're hiring a roofer, there's going to be some that are good and not so good. Same thing with channelers. There's some people who profess to be a channeler, and they do all kinds of rigmaroles and stuff to impress you, and usually it's more show and not so much tell.
All right, let's go to astral projection.
Well, see if the channel, is that what she wanted? Is that anything else?
We'll see. There's a few second delay, so let's see. Paula, does that answer?
I think be in discernment. Again, be in discernment. But I owned a bookstore for about 10 years, and so we had all kinds of psychics and channelers come in, practitioners of different kind come in and do sessions and stuff. And I have seen people come in and get a reading and literally walk out and say, I'm selling my house, I'm divorcing my husband, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, because some channeler who they didn't know before I brought them in, and I brought in the ones I liked the best. But never should you give up the power of your life to someone to make decisions. Should you leave your husband, or should you move states or whatever? But I saw people repetitively doing it. So I would say, get this information, use it as another point of interest to add to your collection and as you make decisions. But if it's making the decision for you, I'd worry about you.
Well, and I think though, sometimes though, when you hear it, it's like this instant, yes, I've been thinking this, I've been feeling this, and it gives them the extra permission. But I would always, as we always state, before you do anything, if you ask for protection, guidance, and to know truth, then you're always guided. So keep that bubble in every day. Okay, so you said yes, that was good. She said thank you. So would you like to, when you're ready then, give your version of what astral projection is?
This is the God, as my mother would say, without love in her heart. This is the gospel according to Heather Carter. My mother was not fond of my gifts. And so as I define these things, I tell you what I know them to be, but it's always important that you do your own research from your own internal sources. Astral projection has many, like the channeling, has many layers. There's one kind of astral projection where literally you're just changing your consciousness. I talk about it in many recall, when we could project our consciousness into a panther, for instance, and be that panther chasing the antelope. We could project our consciousness into a rock and experience life as a rock. And yes, we wanted to do that. I mean, we wanted to experience, life is about experiences. And so we wanted to experience as much as we could. So we could project our consciousness into anything and anyone that we chose to, not anyone, not a human being, but we could move it to any environment. When I did the workshops on, what was that workshop called?
The interdimensional communication.
Oh, no. We did the workshop where we
Oh, it's astral projection.
astral.
No,
Wasn't astral.
we were being able to go into consciousness and being able to.
Anyway, one is where you just sit in your seat and you.
Viewing.
Okay.
Learning how to take your consciousness.
Thank you.
Time and
When that is one form of projection, the astral projection. Astral projection is by many where it's almost like you go unconscious in your physical form and then you go out into the various planes of existence. And so you go into the astral levels and you do different things. Remote viewing is where you're projecting your consciousness into different worlds. Edgar Cayce talked a lot about astral projection, but he would be unconscious in his physical form as he totally went into these other levels with different existence. And you can meet people in these worlds. And I think Edgar Cayce has several books and several tapes out teaching people to do it. In fact, I've got some somewhere.
You have books?
I'm in the process of packing up and decluttering my house, and there are people who actually think my books are clutter. I can't imagine them, but so I've been finding lots of books. Like, oh, I forgot about that one, or tapes. Oh, I forgot about that. So,
okay, so we got a kind of a deep question. So there's a lot of things I would also start.
So these were shallow.
What?
So these were shallow? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
But
this one's a deep one, so it's.
Well, because it's Kundalini. And Kundalini, for me, there's a lot of different meanings because if you don't know me, I've studied Tantra and I am technically a Tantra educator. Is my sacredness. But there's a lot to Kundalini. And again, I would start with what is your version? Okay, so I experienced a Kundalini aftermath without doing anything. It lasts 20 minutes and I was in complete bliss. Now I don't know if I experienced a vision of New Earth or if it was actually a Kundalini aftermath. Just wanted to have your thoughts.
Well, I've had it for a week. I'll tell you, it's a great week. So what happens is as you're awakening this energy, and that's sort of a preview of what's to come, as we raise the energy, that we will be living in that bliss, that experience you have at that orgasmic moment is the energy of unconditional love. It's what we left when we came to this planet. It's what we had to withdraw from. And that was really the biggest challenge we had, was unplugging from that divine. And when people go, I want to go home, they stare at the stars and they want to go home. In their consciousness, they remember that state of bliss and want to return to it. And so as we, it is a compliment to you that you have gotten to that level and awakened that energy. And because you now have that thought of what that felt like, then your task, your opportunity is to remember, put it together again in your body and bring that energy back into existence for longer and longer periods of time. When we are in our full energy on the planet in physical body, we will be in that constant source of energy. And, you can imagine no one wants to make war. No one wants to kill each other. No one wants to do anything other than just be in this really happy place. And so that's really, you had a preview of what's to come. The other visions that came with it, as I said, your vibratory level indicates your perception. They're all tied in. And so when you were in that exalted energy state, you were able to see things naturally that are meant for you. And so I would certainly look at, understand, realize this is information that you've been given. Now, what you do with that information, you have to take and decide.
I'm getting kicked off in like 7 seconds. So I just want to say, feel free to join us on Zoom or on YouTube. YouTube is my name. It's just Stacie Harder, STACIE. Not okay. It's already over. So anyways, if you're on YouTube, you got me. Instagram is now kind of kicking us back off again. So do you want me to go back live or do you?
I go back live just to finish these things.
Okay, so give me a second. Can take a second. Ooh. Good, Mayfair's here. Hello, Miss Mayfair.
Esmeralda.
Esme.
So I Dream of Jeannie had a character called Esmeralda. Was there? Okay.
No.
Bum 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 bum. Hello, everybody. Hello. I love you, Josie. Quick.
Meets politics.
Oh, in Hunchback to Notre Dame, there was a Esmeralda. I know I've heard the name. I never watched the cartoon, but there was something I watched that had an Esmeralda. Maybe it was Dobie Gillis. That's going back a few decades.
All right, so almost.
Oh.
It's it freezes on a screen until it's ready. So I think it's ready. It's still I'm frozen, but okay. Let's see.
Okay. So we're going to answer this question. If there's anything else, then we'll close it off to conversation.
Funny thing is, hang on, it's actually completely frozen on Instagram, so it's
they don't like you.
Hey, I'm gonna cancel and erase that. We're gonna replace that. No, thank you. But I'm gonna end this live to go in now because it's not actually discard. Okay, hang on. Aw, okay.
If you haven't joined my,
hang on. We are officially live back on Instagram. So this is part 2 of Sunday Spirituality Meets Politics, and we're talking about Kundalini energy. And I'm gonna go ahead and let Mom talk now.
Thank you for letting Mom talk.
Oh.
If you have not become a follower of my YouTube channel, please do so, because I am going to start dropping things like this onto YouTube, because I'm getting lots of questions that it's like, this is important information needs to go out. So rather than waiting on these gatherings to actually put them as YouTube clips. So do join heatherharder.com on YouTube.
Stacie Harder. I have 60 subscribers now. Anyways.
Okay. So basically that was the finish. The Kundalini energy is what I would see as that main thread up your spine that affects your nervous system, but it's also the main channel for the energy. And sometimes as you're moving through, you'll get a lot of break in that energy. If you've ever had acupuncture with the little needles, sometimes it will open a meridian in your body and you'll feel that surge of energy. And that's really what you're doing. And so congratulations. It was a positive thing. Being aware of the visions you're getting. It's like you shoot up the energy naturally and have access to things you wouldn't have at a lower level. So it's very positive. People can do it artificially with drugs and various things, but I don't recommend it. I was told that when you get there artificially with drugs and other outside stimuli, it burns out the channels for getting there naturally. It's much, 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 much healthier, in my opinion, to do it naturally. Sounds like you did.
I would say on top of that as well, just a brief, some people, again, describe things differently. My version of Kundalini energy is, it's at the base of your spine, and it is from our birth, and it's kind of what gives us that life force energy. And then a lot of people say one side's masculine, one side's feminine. It's usually described sometimes as gold and black. It's, again, just kind of giving you some different things, but it swooshes in and out and around, and it's really an intense energetic thing. It can happen through orgasmic states, and it can happen without touch, so there is no necessarily rules, but it also can be intention, but it's very, very powerful force. And so one thing I find that's very important is in Tantra, that's what part of it really is actually the deeper connection with source, or deeper connection to God, or the divine within you. And so when you learn how, and just everybody, yoga is one tiny aspect of Tantra. White Tantra is breath work. There's so many things that we have kind of pinned it down to just sexual, but it's really so much deeper than that. And when you can learn how to do self practices, whether it's breath work, whether it's yoga, there's all kinds of different things. There is touch as well, but it's learning how to expand that deeper consciousness to allow more of that divine love and pure energetic states. And they do teach you in how to elongate some of those pleasures as well, so that way you can do more expansion. There's a lot of incredible things in there. And someone said, she said she was vegan at the time, and it was true. You have to be, is it true you have to be non-sexual? No, I don't think that's true. I heard people say you achieve Kundalini, they need to go without spilling the seed for a long period of time. So spilling the seed would be a masculine thing. There's a difference between, sorry, Mom, orgasmic versus ejaculation. And so those are very different. But yes, for men, there is a lot of health benefits as well as energetic benefits by holding what you're calling the seed. Those are probably better conversations when Mom's not around, because I don't think she likes me talking about it, because I'm her daughter. Mom, I'm going.
I can't even respond to that. I'm, and it's not about what you're saying. It's about what you're saying about it. That's kind of challenging, but.
Okay. Well, that's another conversation. Oh, Nelsie. No, it's just, mother daughters, it's still whatever.
And for me, I think that you have to follow your heart. There is a lot of, in what Robert Allen's book, In Personal Life, he talks about where you will go through a period of time where you are asexual in order to break through some of the limitations and stuff. And so it happens naturally if it needs to happen. And the food you eat, the actions you take, of all kinds, the words you speak, all affect your vibration. And it's about getting your vibration up as high as it is. When it happened to me, I literally was awoke in the middle of the night with this incredible, brilliant light that stayed in the room until the sun came up. And then I was in this sort of state of ecstasy for the week. I didn't do anything. It wasn't an intentional act. As I've said, my journey has been very individual, sort of stumbling along in the dark, literally, and being explained after the fact. And so you don't have to do anything to make it happen. You just have to focus on being the very best that you can be, and it will happen naturally.
And she said it did happen naturally. So one question is then, how can you achieve it again? So if someone did feel the Kundalini energy, how would you explain ways to be able to?
Well, first of all, it goes back to that magic word, trust. You have to trust that if it doesn't happen again, it's because you don't need it again. If you are, I'm trying to think of an example. If you are breaking a dam to flood the fields, you only break the dam once because the fields are flooded. So if you're opening up some of these blocks that would allow the Kundalini energy to flow through your body, it only has to happen once, and then that Kundalini energy is present. But what happens is, as we are in that energy, it becomes more natural. When I do the workshops and teaching people how to do interdimensional communication, to be able to talk to spirit and whatnot, when it first happened, it's like, wow, and it's very special. About 3 weeks later, invariably, I'll get a call from people. Now I make sure they know that it's going to happen, but a call saying, I can't feel it anymore. It doesn't happen. It's gone away. No, what's happened is, as you connected, your energies come up so that you've got a new normal. It hasn't gone away. It hasn't stopped. You just have a new normal, so it doesn't seem as unusual. Getting in a hot tub. I kept my hot tub at 104 degrees. When you first get in it, you feel 104 degrees, but after in it for a bit, it feels normal. And so it's that kind of thing. The energy is still with you. The vibrational exaltation is still with you. You just want to keep using it and allowing it to unfold. And if you have more to come, it'll come. You don't seek the high. That makes it an addiction. And there are spiritual addictions as well.
And Tantra, that's one of the first things they say, is it's the fastest way to Kundalini awakening. But again, it's only for when you're ready energetically. And yeah. So just, I would say, trust it. And someone asked, what is the purpose of Kundalini energy?
It's like, what's the purpose of your thumb? What's the purpose of your toe? It's just a part of who you are that we're beginning to understand ourselves and how we work a bit more. It's just an aspect of our energetic soul. Some people understand their energy meridians in their body. Certainly the ancient Chinese did, because they used it with acupuncture and acupressure, but not everybody does, and they still live their life. So it's just part of that energetic flow. So,
and I would also go with, it's part of your life force. It's really strong dose of like really who you are and that connection back to that source of you. And when your body, that's the other part too, is people talk about the work, but it's literally what we feed our body is so much more than just from the food. But the food is a huge thing of it. If you look at 1 pound of spinach and 1 pound of meat, the density is totally different. And if you're eating a meat, which is the densest of all food vibrations, versus spinach, it feels very different in your body because it is very different. And so,
unless the spinach is coated with toxins and poisons and stuff, and so then you can have spinach that's very low as well. And then a wild game has a higher vibration than our cows that are kept in pens and treated horribly. And so there's lots of variations within any of them. You just have to be mindful that as your energy goes up, anything that you do that has a lower vibration, it's going to affect you.
Which is why you start with protecting your energy all the time. Because if you look at our water, they've been trying to poison us. What do they put in it? Fluoride. What does fluoride do? It calcifies your pineal gland, which makes your third eye more closed off, which allows you to lose some of your intuition. But again, you can clear all that. You can intentionally clear. You have free will, and it's about putting different things in. It's not by accident Mr. Gates is now the largest farm owner in the United States of America, bless his heart. but it's time to really take care of what we need. Grow your own food, get a community, like less.
Esmeralda says, what are things are true about aliens, such as them not being able to tell lies? Well, I haven't tested all the aliens, but I'm told it's a universal law that they cannot lie to you. If you ask a question, they have to answer it. They can trick you. They can do lie by omission. They can avoid. They can distract, but they cannot lie. What other things are you thinking of?
Well, I just want to add too. I think you said it, but again, I do multiple things, so I'm doing multiple things even as we know. Okay, so I just put it in there, Claudia, so you can read the Zoom number now, hopefully, because I just pinned it. One of the things that I like to clarify is that if, again, like Mom said, you serve the light, you come in the light. If they don't answer you and they try to like work it around and kind of, oh, well, what didn't you know, blah, 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 then that's not answering you directly. So that's a good indication. But it's part of the universal laws as humans. Hello, Claudia. That worked. Okay. So as humans have the right to be in the body. And so part of, I believe, what's going on is we're on a spiritual war of consciousness, and that is by alien influence. So as there, like humans, there's good humans and there's not so good humans. So we're all of the same source. We all come from different things, but we're here for different purposes. So there is important to learn and have your discernment. What, and Mom calls them cosmic cousins, which I really appreciate, because they are. We're all cosmic cousins. The stars are a reminder. I mean, we're made of stardust. Like, so many magical things that really just have no words sometimes. Okay, Mom.
I can talk again. Thank you. Well, I think this is probably a good time to go quiet. And then as far as saying goodbye to our online friends, if you want to join us on the call, you can. But we want to give our Zoom people a time to talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. We have to hear our updates from Felicia and Josie and hear what's going on. So goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Well,
Love and light.
One question we have from YouTube real quick is, what would Heather have to say around interdimensional connections with other aspects of self? And how is she testing the truth of source? Really, that's a good question to leave with. And you're welcome to join us on Zoom. So if you're just joining us.
Well, I see that as a two-parter. So
let me, there we go. So that way she can see that. So you can join us on Zoom if you'd like that private conversation. Come on in. All right, thank you. Go ahead.
And so read the first part of that question again.
What would Heather have to say around interdimensional connections with other aspects of self?
Well, I don't even know how to answer this. First of all, as I've talked in the light work, we talk about sending light and love into the mass consciousness, which permeates and connects with everything. We're all connected to everything. And as we're able to free our consciousness to move into other areas, we can connect with all things. It's very hard to explain how lives work. We're used to past life, present life, future lives. That really isn't, time is not a linear process. It's all going on simultaneously. And so as we open up to awarenesses, we can move our consciousness into any of our existences as we choose. It's just about loosening up your consciousness to be able to do that. I can go and be on board craft with one aspect of my consciousness, without any kind of to do. It's just, no, the dog is scratching underneath the desk, and that's causing the bubble.
is shaking really big time. So that's why I was like, whoa, let's.
I feel the earth move under your feet. I feel the skies come tumbling down. It's me. I can't help it. I'm just a vibratory mom. I just make things shake. Anyway, I'm not bumping my computer, not touching it.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's the first thing, that we're all connected to everything. It's about being able to be in consciousness and being able to become aware of and then integrate it. Because when you are aware of all these different aspects of what you're doing, it becomes kind of mind-boggling. So your mind has to be evolved enough to be able to handle and wrap itself around these multiple truths. I've told the story before, but certainly is a good example of this. When I was doing my PhD, one of the requirements for my comps, which is like 3 days of exams at the end of all your coursework, and then after you pass your comps, you can work on your dissertation. So one of the comps, because I got my PhD in the 80s, they were requiring computer literacy at that time. So we had to have a comp in computers. So there was a half day or 3-hour test on cat ray tubes and the history of computers and parts and all the things about computers. Well, I can read a book and pass a test. The other half was practical application. You had to go in and you're given these story problems that had statistical applications in order to solve. It was like, and then you had to write the computer program that solved the problem and gave you the right answer. So multiple regressions and chi-squares and all this kind of stuff. I don't even remember what they are now. But anyway, so you had to do that. And I had never taken a computer course. And so I was like strictly up to God, making this story shorter. Just, if this is important, you got to pass this test because I can't. That's bottom line. I can't. And so I went to the test. They gave me, as I walked in the computer lab, they gave me this white envelope. I took the envelope and I completely blacked out. I have no memory whatsoever of anything during this test. I don't have memory of that period until I get the results back and I pass the test. And so when I started doing direct communication, at that point I was not. It was just me and God against the world kind of thing. When I started doing direct communication, I was asking about all these different things in my life, and I was like, how did I pass that test? Because I know I didn't know that stuff. And I was told that an aspect of my soul living off the western coast of Canada entered my body and took that test for me, which is like an interesting phenomena. Is this cheating? Does God cheat? How does this work? What's the ethical issue with this? But at any rate, I passed my proficiency. I went on to finish my dissertation and got a PhD. So we have lots more aspects. We just have to open ourselves to allow much more of our collective wisdom to impact our lives. And you can, but you have to sort of loosen up your mind in order to allow that to happen. So that's the end of that question, unless there's more parts of it.
There is. The other part is
Right. Claudia's got her finger up. She gets priority. So what is, unmute yourself.
Okay, wait. Okay, I have a little question about what you just mentioned and talked about. So let me make sure I understood you correctly. So you had this proficiency test to do, but how much did you prepare? Did you read? Did you do your homework?
Well, for the question and answer, it was like a 3-hour multiple choice, fill in the blank, mini essay. I read books on computers, so I did that study. But you can't study that way for the lab portion, the writing computer programming. I didn't even own a computer at that time. And so I did hire a tutor for 2 hours a night, 1 night a week for 4 weeks, at a total of 8 hours tutoring, when I had no background in computers at all. And to learn how to write computer code that would do multiple regressions. All I remember is the Y hats. I mean, there's no way that anybody could, and you don't know what the questions are ahead of time. You go in and you're given an envelope with five story problems, and you have to figure out what they want and how to get the right answer, and then write the computer code that solves the problem. There was no software at that time, so it was an impossible task. I literally about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was sweating bullets and crying and saying, I can't do this, God, we're going to do this. And then finally this whole piece came over me, and I said, okay, God, if this is important for you, for my work with you, you got to get me through this, because I can't. And I did.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a beautiful experience, because I was real shocked. It's like, oh my God, I passed it? How did I do that? So
our friend Juan Carlos is asking a question, and I think you're talking about connecting with different aspects of your soul. So would you like to just maybe briefly explain what that means for some people who that's
what?
Having different aspects, soul aspects, living in different life forms at the same time, and how time doesn't really exist? Do you want to?
Well, it's like soul multitasking. The soul's journey through this experience, of all experiences, is just to experience. And so, at one time in my life, this physical life, I was running 7 businesses. I had a husband, I had children, I had 4 childcare centers, I had 75 employees, I was doing a lot of different stuff. I was a full-time professor. So I was multitasking at a very big level. Well, the soul multitasks by having different life experiences, where we have sort of a honeycomb between them. So we're not usually consciously aware of what those are, but we're experiencing lots and lots of things. I mean, if each one of you, I could ask right now, and you could probably tell me 5, 6, 7 different things that you're doing right now. I mean, I know Alicia is property management, and she's buying and selling real estate, and she's on a board for a state organization. So she's wearing lots of hats. And so all those hats give you different experiences. Well, the same thing happens at a soul level. We can have lots of different souls doing lots of different things. And that's part of our ability to grow. And because our souls are, it's one soul. So I can get help in this lifetime if I allow it, through different aspects of myself. But we have to recognize we are much more than this physical body, this individual experience. I could be a king in one lifetime and a homeless man in another, because they give me different experiences. And there's no good, there's no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just experiences. I can be a drug counselor in one existence and a drug addict in another, because our goal is to experience all of it. Claudia, you look perplexed. Go ahead.
It's just so deep.
Yeah, it is.
It's so profound. And I mean, it brings me back to the concept of the oversoul, right? Which I'm always like, I've heard about, and it's like, but I understand the concept of the oversoul, but, you just actually really explained that really well, because, in one, like you're simultaneously, you do a lot of things in this existence, right? But on a soul level, we're also doing that. And so just like you said, I mean, you can be a drug counselor in one and a drug addict in the other, and you wouldn't know.
But that's how we learn compassion. So as a drug counselor, I can be much more compassionate and understanding, because at another level, I am a drug addict. I can be a much more compassionate with something, because I'm also experiencing that, and vice versa. We're here to learn compassion, joy, balance, harmony, regardless of our circumstances. When Stacy talks a lot about her shadow work and the dark stuff, I don't even buy that shit anymore. I don't think it's dark stuff. I think it's just life. And it's how do we affect it? Do we let those dark experiences control us? Or do we just say, I didn't like that at all. I don't want to do that one again. I want to move forward. And so I think it's how invested we get in that experience, how personally engaged in it that we become? Or do we impersonally go, don't think I like that one. I don't want to do that one again. And so we have experiences. Our reaction to those experiences decide whether we suffer or whether we, how we use it. If I were to say, tomorrow, all of you have to give a public presentation to a group of people. For some of you, it would be, yay, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And for others, it would be, oh my God, I'm going to slash my wrist. I can't talk to this group. I'll die. And so it's your reaction to the experience that determines the quality of your life, not the experiences.
And there's a question that ties into that from Instagram. And first of all, Jake has been off all social media for 6 weeks. He did his social media detox, and he's back for the first time. I haven't seen him in a while, so it's like, wow. So welcome back.
Let us be the first to taint you.
Is saying correspondent to time being linear? And I think it's not.
Time isn't linear. That's a falsehood that we've been made to believe. Time isn't linear. So Einstein proved that a gazillion years ago.
Sometimes I have no idea how you're going to respond to questions. Sometimes it's just me asking the question, but it's all you just never
I don't have to explain myself.
I know. I see this. I know this. And I appreciate it. It just don't know how to react sometimes. So would you like to just do a quick little explanation of what time is? And by the way, Claudia, I have actually been able, again, I study Tantra and different things, and I have actually connected at the same time at different moments of living out different things at the same time, which I'm like, whoa, I'm like in my own consciousness, living out a total different body in this experience and that experience at the same time. It's pretty neat, actually. So, okay. Go ahead. What's time, Mom? What's time? Got to do with it. Who needs a heart when your heart can be broken?
Okay. We have been made to believe that it's like a highway. There's a linear beginning, middle, end. There is a past, present, future. But it's not like that at all. I think of it as like the TV. On the TV, at any given time, there's 47 channels going, maybe more. And in each channel, there's characters, there's action, there's drama, there's this, there's that, and it's all going on. And I can be tuned in on channel 7, and I'm part of that experience. And then, but the same time that I'm tuned into channel 7, channel 2 is going, and channel 3, and channel 10, that they're all going simultaneously. And it's just by tuning in to move your consciousness, then you become aware of these different experiences. But they're all feeding back to the soul collective, your subconscious mind, and you have access to all the lessons and knowledge that all of these parts of you are gaining simultaneously. But it's just a game. We put it together to help us grow through experience. Does that help?
So the question was there a spiral? There's a lot of hearts. Question mark? To me, I would say it's frequency. It's where you're tuned into. And then someone said, or Paula said, it's all a now moment.
And every time you change channels, you're in a different now.
Which is also why it talks about, like, that's the power of manifestation too, the energetic beings, right? Like your thoughts produce, Joe Dispenza? I'm going to use my own words versus Joe Dispenza's words because he does whatever. But it's an energy that shoots out, right? That's a thought. And then your emotions are the energy that pulls it in. And so if everything is a vibrational frequency, everything is energy and matter, it's all what you're bringing into your world too. It's like there's no accidents. If you're in a situation, you brought it in. What is it teaching you? What is it showing you? And it's learning how to dive into understanding those frequencies, understanding how to tune in, how to navigate those. And I don't know why it's coming up, but the emotions in your body is also your GPS system. So it is learning how to listen to your GPS system. The other part of the question is, how is she testing the truth of source? And so that's the second part of the question for you, Mom. But going back to that feeling and knowing, and when you start to really tune in and tap in, like, you start to understand, oh, this sensation I'm getting over here in my skull is actually like direct source coming in, or it's like my higher self. You can feel it. The stomach is like, oh, that's my intuition saying you need to leave. Or, oh, this stomach feeling is that, ooh, stay away from that person. This person doesn't serve you. Like, you literally learn to become an interpreter. It's a good word. Interpreter. Hey, make up words. Why not? Shakespeare did it. I'll do it too. Just kidding. All right. I need to get my charger cord before it turns off. So I'm going to let you take over, and then I'm going to get my charger because it's about to die.
Thank you. And I just want to say that everything Stacy says does not mean that I agree with it. I'm so, again, each one of you get to have your own beliefs, and Stacy gets to have her own beliefs, and I get to have my own beliefs. That's the way it works. And so from my standpoint, hell, I don't even know what we're talking about now. What was the last comment?
I'm taking
Okay, there was something about interpreting source and stuff. Oh, one point she said about it, source coming from outside or something. If you're thinking source is going to be directed to you, that's not my reality at all. We are source. It's not something that's coming to us or from us or around us. It is us. We are one with that energetic process. And so nothing is coming to you from some outside source. It is you. And you're just giving it more expression in your life. So that becomes very important. There was something about testing information. What was that about? Say that again.
How do you know truth is coming from source? Something like that?
How is she testing the truth of source? That's the question.
How am I testing the truth of source? I'm not testing it. In the beginning, I did. In the beginning, I get this information, think, am I crazy? What is this going on? It was information that I tested in every way possible. As a scholar, I was very adamant that even if I'd read a book, I wouldn't accept what they said as truth. I would read 6 or more books just to be able to see what the bias of the author was and where there was agreement, where there was controversy. And I mean, I wanted to understand and be able to discern from my own level, but I read lots of primary source documentation and not secondary source where someone's interpreting what happened. I wanted to read exactly what happened. And so taking that mindset then to my spiritual work, I tested everything. And depending on how it was given to me, I would test, and I would ask for things that I could test because it was important for me to have trust. After I moved through that testing phase, and I don't remember how long it lasted, but once I knew that what I was getting was real, it was solid, it was truth, then I just accepted as truth. And I that was 30 plus years ago. So now I don't test it. And I think it would be highly insulting if it was being tested. Just like, Alicia's been my friend for a while. If I doubted everything she said, then she really shouldn't be my friend because I wouldn't trust her. And so in the beginning, when you have new friends or new employees, you watch, you check, you do whatever you need to do. But there comes a time where you have to trust what's going on or, find someone new for your life.
Okay. Instagram question. What is the best way to figure out distortion?
Well, I think, again, it depends on what you're determining is distorted. But for me, if I distort something, I see how it looks. I see how it works, like a warped mirror, that you compare it with 2 or 3 different warped mirrors. And then you can begin to see what's distorted, why. This one's making you taller. This is making you fatter, this one's making you shorter, that I would look at the distortions until I could find one that didn't change things. But I think the greatest way of seeing truth is to compare it to distortions. And in your body is a natural truth teller. And so if you begin to feel how things feel in your body, for instance, taking this statement that some reporter just made, and just imagine it being a ball, and then place it in your solar plexus and see how that feels versus something someone else said. Not someone's interpretation of what they said or some edited version of what they said, but what they said. And then put that in your solar plexus and see how that feels. And then by comparing things that are distortions, then you begin to feel what isn't a distortion. It's like looking things, when I was teaching in classroom, I would often have students do a scenario of if they wanted the worst case scenario, if they wanted the bad things to happen, what would they do? And so it's very easy to go, I would do this, I would do this. Well, then reverse that. And what can you do in order to have the most positive outcome? And so oftentimes by looking at the negative, we can determine the positive. And that's the best I can do. Really get to know your body and what brings balance, harmony, and peace to your body versus what doesn't. And what doesn't is that grainy, grady kind of energy that comes from distortion. And when you ask to know truth, it exacerbates that. It makes it more intense.
Yes. And there's a question or statement, I should say, that we're all just fragments of source and the whole universe is within. I am whole and complete, and I am the universe, and everything else is like characters in the game. Just like your universe is different than mine, we are not broken. And that's a really important thing, is sometimes we feel we're broken. Sometimes we feel this, but we're not. We're always whole. We're always, I think that's a very good point.
When people are playing sword fighting, they put one hand behind their back and they only do one hand. They can switch hands, but they only do one hand. That's stupid, but it's the game. When they're playing golf, the better you are, the bigger the handicap you get. That's stupid, but that's the game. And so often we give ourselves these rules for our game that doesn't make sense, and it makes life hard, but we do it because it's fun. In this lifetime, I think I'll be a paraplegic. Wouldn't that be fun? I get to learn what life's like as a paraplegic. A handicapped body, a handicapped mind, a handicapped, challenge is a really high value sought after life experience. There are lines for souls to get occupying a handicapped body. Yet we look at these handicapped people and go, oh, the poor thing, they can't walk or they can't talk. Whereas in a spiritual realm, they're usually a high spiritual masters. We just teach them the wrong way. Instead of really addressing their spiritual greatness, we look at their physical limitations or their mental limitations or whatever. Yes, Claudia. Love that hand. I can see your hand.
So do you, because, there's so many more autistic children on the planet at this time. Do you think that it's just all these souls that are really wanting to come into the planet who have been waiting in line and now they're like, here I come, because I have a friend with a severely autistic child and it is so tough for her. He's getting to be like 13. He's, doesn't know his own strength. So he can be very violent without wanting.
Well, keep in mind that everything that happens to a child up to the age 13 has been agreed upon. They may not have called it in, they might not have asked for it, but they've agreed to it. From 13 on, then it's using the life experience they've had for the first 13 years to build on. So from 13 under, I've agreed to it. From 13 above, I'll make the best of it. And so that child, man, whatever, has called this in, chosen it, allowed it for his soul growth. So what we can do as parents is to help them maximize their soul experience, not try to minimize the lesson, but to really help them identify their lesson. Why do you think you did this? I met a woman. She worked on the campaign. She was a lovely lit person, but she was burned over. I'm going to make a number. I don't remember, like 75% of her body when she was 2 years old. She was playing with matches and a gallon of gas, not a good combination. And she ignited herself, and she literally was head to toe scar tissue, and scar tissue doesn't grow. So you have to keep having surgery to take it off so that you grow skin that's bigger that fits the new body, because the other shrinks. Exceedingly painful. And when I met her, the first thing I said, and the first thing that came over me is, my God, you must have an incredibly brave soul to agree to come in to experience that. I can't imagine the soul level of development that would say, I want to experience this. I want to use it to help other people. And she was a beautiful person. She helped people who've been burn victims to put on makeup, and she was doing all kinds of things with burn victims. But I mean, can you imagine a soul that would come in knowing this was going to be her future? That's incredible. Well, you look at these people in these bodies that are slightly flawed in some way or another. There is the soul greatness. The child who's homeless or who's in bondage. They knew, not that it's okay, not that it makes it okay. It's a society. They're helping reflect to us what we can do to help free up everybody, including ourselves. Not saying in any way it's okay. But nonetheless, that child knew what they were coming into.
And on that statement too, I think a lot of it is predestined for us to be able to wake up to see what's going on, because a lot of that is direct correlation of poisons being put in their body.
Well, I wouldn't, as much as I know, I wouldn't even begin to give anybody a reason for anything. There's so much bigger. Earlier, I said about the example, there's someone's being a drug addict and they're also being a drug counselor, so they can experience all of it. There's someone being a victim and there's someone being a perpetrator, so they can learn to experience it. I've said, not in this lifetime, but in other lifetime experiences. I've been a murderer and I've been murdered. I don't want to do that again. Once was good. At least what I know of is good. But nonetheless, their experiences, we are the ones that label them, that with children, we take away the consequences of their actions. We need to step out of it and help children take responsibility for their actions. Otherwise, they grow up to be adults who won't take responsibility for their actions. We need to teach children compassion. So as adults, they have compassion. You can't hurt another person if you're really compassionate, because you feel it too. You wouldn't verbally abuse, emotionally abuse someone if you've had compassion. The entitled person was, we're raising kids as the entitled beings, then they grow up to think, well, their happiness is the only thing that matters. And if they're not happy, who cares how other people feel? And so the childhood period is exceedingly important. And I think as adults, they're helping us learn we need to do it differently.
Rachel's a mom of, I think, 5 kids. And she says, I teach my kids.
Hold on a second, stop. Being a parent of 5 kids, do know that you've got a Purple Heart waiting for you in heaven. That is a huge, huge responsibility that you've taken on. And it doesn't end when they get to be adults. It lasts forever. So congratulations on your bravery. Okay, now go ahead.
And she says, I teach my kids that no is a wonderful word to know and to use, especially as teens. And she's giving you a bunch of hearts on that comment.
Yeah. And it is important. I mean, there are people who just never heard no and they can't handle it. It's like, what do you mean no? I can't. And if you get that reaction with a no, then you need to give them a lot more. But I think the single most important lesson you can give a child is that what you do determines what will happen to you, and that what do you want to do that brings in the consequences that you want to experience.
And
you
I think
give out love, you get love back. You send out compassion and assistance, and you get that back. You're nasty and a mean girl, you're going to get that back. So when my older daughter was in 6th grade, she was very, very hurt because one of the girls in her class had become a mean girl, and she couldn't believe she was so mean to everybody. And I said, don't worry. I said, she'll get it back. It just may take a little time. And then sure enough, when she got to high school, then she had been controlling everybody in 6th grade in her mean girl stuff, and everybody just kowtowed to it. But in high school, it backfired, and she lost all her friends. And I see it. So now, who had their hand up? Somebody I saw.
someone said boundaries are vital, and I was going to say absolutely. And I think that's also important to teach as children with our bodies and hugging people. I think hugging should be a choice. We shouldn't force our kids into hugging adults and different things.
Well, I think it goes back to healthy, appropriate. Boundaries can be just as dysfunctional as any other aspect of your life. It's about being healthy and appropriate. And so many adults, I mean, I teach these classes, so I know the people who take my classes don't have healthy, appropriate boundaries, so they don't know how to teach their kids how to have healthy, appropriate boundaries. I grew up with a Southern father who, believed in the switch and spare the rod and hell with it. So there was no boundaries. If dad said something, everybody just did it. You didn't have an ability to question or discuss the outcome. It was just you were blind obedient or got beat. So, and we chose that. We chose to experience that. Must have been a bad day, or I was drinking when I chose that, but nonetheless.
This is the boundaries workbook, but that's, if you're new to boundaries and you want a good basic boundaries, there's lots of stuff on boundaries. And I have had to learn, I think, a little extra challenging with my boundaries because a lot of times if we are abused or sexually abused as children, you don't learn that no actually means no. And so for me, it was a whole new world to be like, oh, wait, my no can actually mean no. And so it's a lot of what I find is energetic boundaries too, and that people read energy. And so they can get your boundaries of like, oh, you can say something to her, or, oh, you can't say something to them. Like, people energetically where you can kind of be friendly with. Sometimes there's people like, oh, we're not going to say nothing to them, we're just going to let that pass. So it's boundaries are a self boundary, what's important to you and what feels good and what doesn't feel good and what's appropriate and not appropriate. It's a huge world to dive into if you're new. And
I'll have to offer that class again.
Well, okay. We should do it. Masterclass. When you want to do it, Mom?
Well, it won't be decided today, but Josie has her hand up.
Oh, great. Josie.
Unmute yourself, Josie. And I assume we talked about time enough. If you have further questions on that topic.
So you can talk. Yeah.
Josie?
Yeah, I must have hit that by accident, and I was trying to type in there that Trump. That word is a big trigger for a lot of people. Like sometimes I'll be talking and then that'll come out like in the conversation and oh my gosh, it's like, oh shoot, I forgot the person I'm talking to.
I was speaking at a conference for ministers in Maryland when he was elected, the night he was elected. And you would have thought the devil himself had arrived at this conference. I mean, people were cussing and swearing and crying and sobbing. And I was like, oh my gosh, where's divine order? Where's accepting what happens? But it was, I was in shock because it was this whole crazy period. So
Oh, that's
And I
funny.
was actually talking to a group of ministers when the 9/11 happened. And we first heard about that. And it was a completely different experience. They immediately went into prayer. They immediately went into, you know,
Well,
the situation. So it was interesting to see these two major events in life have experiences. But yeah, Trump is a teacher for the world. I mean, he mirrors for people, and what he mirrors depends on what you're looking from.
and also someone just put in there, Jake put in there, people have been programmed to hate the orange man, and that's 100% true. And also
I have
everything,
a friend that calls him Cheeto Man.
someone on Bumble put on there about like it's two truths and a fake kind of thing or something like that, and you have to guess which one. And one is I gave Trump a spray tan, and that made me laugh. But yes, the best thing to do is turn off the TV. Period. Yes, 100%. Get out of the program. TV programming, television. It is like pumping the deepness of the war in consciousness. Remember, it's about sovereignty. It's about coming in. It's knowing your truth. It's standing in your truth, speaking your truth, living your truth, breathing your truth. You can honor your truth. If you want 100 jabs, that's great for you, but not for a sovereign person as myself that doesn't want it. So it is so much going on. Yes, bless, love. So Unplug the Matrix 100,000%. Okay, so going into this real quick, there was a so the mirroring, and I will say when he first got elected the very first time, he was my trigger, and he ticked me off because you know what? I didn't heal the masculine in part of me. And so my masculine issues were triggered through his stuff. And so I was able to be like, oh, what is he actually bringing out in me? What is it that okay, is that true? So it's like, it's always an opportunity. Triggers are your biggest gifts. Understand them and they will change your life. Okay. Just want to put that out there. Amen.
Okay. Any other questions? Is your hand up for real this time now, Josie, or did you do it by accident? Yes, your hand's up
no,
again.
I don't see it going up. I'm unmuting myself, and it.
I can see your hand. You got a hand right there.
No, I don't see it.
I'm not going to call on you then. So just wiggle your fingers. Okay.
Okay, I'll use my finger.
Alicia, you always have interesting things to add in our political conversations. What would you like to add?
Well, what subject do you want me to add to?
Well, this is our political conversation. So what would you like to add to our political conversation?
What I had told you earlier, I listened to the PAC thing from Texas, the CPAC, and Trump was definitely giving a presidential speech. He plans on running for sure.
For the 2022?
He said he's going to run. He really hasn't said what year.
Well, and he hasn't said what year.
For what?
Because I feel like we're still figuring out what's happening in the unfolding. So I feel like there is a reason for that, because whether the military is like, oh, here, we're going to just, like, there's so many things that are up in the possibility still that It hasn't defined it, because this is an unfolding process. And this is a time where faith, strength, asking for truth. If you can get people that don't agree with anything, just agree to know truth. So there's a lot of that. I completely agree with that, Alicia.
As I'm looking at Mayfer's comments, is how do you lose it out of your mind? I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about loosening, I was talking about loosening your mind, that you have to be able to be able to loosen your consciousness so that you can project it. Some people hold everything so tight, sort of like wearing a girdle. You've got to take the girdle off and allow yourself to expand and your consciousness to expand. And as you expand, you become aware of lots of other things. And then you just keep expanding it out to other areas. But it's about loosening your consciousness so that you can project it out into other experiences. And that can give you a conscious experience of projection. not exactly what we'd call astro projection, but close. Yes, Stacy.
Okay, so we have a question on here. What is your thoughts on New Earth? Is it happening now? What happens to those who go and people who don't? And how do we get there? I heard it's already started. So this is an interesting topic that a lot of different people talk about. And so I already know your version. So anyways, I think that's a fun question.
Well, and I think that it's going to be a different reality for each person as they go. Yes, there's going to be a new Earth. I was shown it, 20, 25 years ago, and it looks like Earth for all practical purposes. When I saw it, they called it Irion. Whether that's a name that ends up being what everybody else calls it, I don't know. But it literally is a replication of Earth, but prepared with a lower vibration. Its density is third dimension. When Earth was designed, it wasn't meant to be locked into this very dense world. And so when people moved into fear and hate and war and violence, it was like, what the heck are they doing? That was what caused the damage on Earth and really jeopardized the future of Earth. So this other planet has been prepared like Earth, still free will for all the different aspects of Earth, but it's at a much denser level. So what happens is when people are needing to have another physical experience to continue their lessons and their growth and their journey, and it's just a journey, they can incarnate on this, I'll call it Irion, because that's what I was told, Irion, and then Earth is going to lose all those dense people so that Earth can continue its vibratory lift, which will then put it back into a state of health. And so again, this planet was around 20 plus years ago, so I'm sure it's there now, because of remember, frequency determines perception. And so as we are functioning at a frequency, we may or may not be able to see it, even though it may be like the UFOs, it may be right in front of our face, but we can't see it because we're at a different frequency. And so it's going on, but it may be decades before we can perceive it, or it may happen tomorrow. At one time, I really had a mind that said, I want to know this, I want to know this now. How does this work? And I kept being told, and I shouldn't say kept being told, I was told frequently, it's not my business. It's not my business, And so over time, I realized that I will get what I need for my journey. And what I don't need, not important, not my business. And so for a lot of the details that these people are giving aren't part of my journey. So I don't get them. I don't think they're not important for me or what I'm going. I go for the big picture and understanding the big picture. So we work with the flow and we don't resist it.
And I just want to mention, I have 1 minute before Instagram kicks me off again. And
so what that'll happen then when it kicks you off, we're just going to quit it this time because it's already almost 8:15. So for all of you, have a wonderful, wonderful
they said
journey.
We do live, but we do this every Thursday and every Sunday, so we'll be back. But also, Mom has her first book. Many were called, few were chosen. Hang on, it already kicked me off early. All right, so if you're on YouTube, you lucky, okay? So I'm gonna let you talk, and I'm gonna post this. Okay, go ahead.
You started to say something. So what do you?
Your book, Many Were Called, Few Were Chosen. It is the story of Mother Earth and Earth-Based Volunteers by Dr. Heather Harder. It was your first book, I believe it was around 30-some years ago. I read it twice last year. It was so good and so like, of what's going on right now and understanding everything what's going on. So I do recommend reading it if you can afford it. I have it on YouTube and I read it chapter by chapter. But there is something more powerful.
And it's free, and you just have to subscribe to her channel so she can get more people signing up for her channel.
Like, subscribe, share, whatever. It's great.
Hit the bell.
That is actually the name of Sean Stone interview with you too, was Many Were Called, Few Were Chosen. and I think that kind of was the beginning of your conversation. But it was a really good understanding too of Earth, how Earth became Earth, and why we're here. And it makes so much sense. I know I definitely had tears reading it throughout the time. So YouTube is Stacie Harder, Stacie, not softer, but harder. I didn't even see your name on there. I'm so glad you joined us. Yay! I don't get to see your face, but hello. I love connecting with new friends and new people. And by the way, I love our world. Like, we have Ecuador, Mexico, we have Australia, United States. Like, we have so many countries just within our little community right now as we speak. And Nelsie, I forget where you're from. Feel free to type that in. I know it's far away.
Well, I'm in Texas.
You're in Texas. Oh, but
Yeah.
Claudia's the one from
Well,
someplace else.
I was born in El Salvador. My mom's family's from El Salvador. So
And I'm in El Salvador right now.
yeah.
So we've got all kinds of experiences going on.
speaking of, there's a post that was really interesting, actually, of the cryptocurrency, your post.
Right. Okay, Heather. Okay, so I know you want to close it up, but I really, since this is a political conversation, I do want to kind of ask you this.
Okay.
So yeah, I posted what Stacie's talking about. Is I posted on Facebook about cryptocurrencies. Tell me, what's your take on, like, the evolution of money? You can touch on the politics if you'd like, but I'm just so curious what you think about the evolution of money in crypto.
Well, can I clarify too? One of the countries has turned their currency into crypto.
El Salvador. So the country I'm living in is the first country in the world to nationalize Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency.
And can I pause one thing?
Sure.
From my understanding, the president of your country, which
Uh-huh.
is the first one going to crypto, was living in the building in Miami that happened to collapse. So just pointing that out.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Okay. Go ahead, Mom.
Thank you. First of all, I was told a long time ago that because money is being used to control and to dominate people, that it has to end. That we will still have an economic system, but it won't be money. That could be crypto. I've not been told that, but right now, as I see crypto energetically, as I tap into crypto, I don't think it's crypto, because crypto is even a bigger means of control and manipulate. I'm told that this world, the two things that are most used to control is sex and money. Those are the two big lessons that we have to master for the planet to evolve. And so certainly we're seeing sex at lots of different layers play out, in the control and manipulation world. And from our leaders down to our children, and then the same thing with money. I think we're going to go to a much more of a void in our economic system before the new system is recreated. I was doing a workshop in England, and when the 2000 Y2K crazies was going on, and they were asking me, and these were people from all over the world at this conference, and they were saying they were buying goggles to deal with the photon light, and they were, doing all kinds of things. And they said, "What are you doing for the Y2K?" And I said, "Nothing. I got nothing. I'm not feeling the need to do nothing, and I'm doing nothing until I'm given instructions. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not stocking food." And so, so I did nothing, and nothing was needed. So this time, though, I am getting instructions for preparation. I am knowing that I need to get to the trees. Selling everything that I own and taking whatever money I have and buying my house will be paid for, to really get myself out of debt. Right now, I do get a Social security check, but I certainly wouldn't count on that for the long run. I'll be having my little garden and that kind of stuff, but I do feel the need to get self-sufficient and stock up on the basics and, have my little well in the backyard, and off grid so I can survive. This is not going to be over quickly. This is a long, as I've said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so I'd say, follow your heart. What are you feeling the need to do? But I am getting instruction for preparation and for being ready for it. So I don't know if that helps or hurts, but
well, so I feel like you're right that there's this, money does have to come to an end, and
to end the control. Again, sovereignty is the outcome. That's what we're going for. So everything that controls us has to be disclosed, has to be dissolved. And so for me, crypto is just another form of money. It's not a different system. It's just a different term because it's being used just like money. So for me, that's why I would answer as such.
Mhm.
But I know nothing about crypto other than the conversations we've had here. So I'm not invested in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not just crypto, the currency, but crypto, there's, making things transparent. There's something called the blockchain. It's crypto, the money part is just one aspect of it. The blockchain is actually like the new internet, and it's a fully transparent way of doing money and doing transactions and everything. So I resonate with what you just said a lot, that money as we know it maybe needs to end because it's been used to create so much evil and bad things in the world. And that there's going to be a shift in consciousness in how we evolve with money, and maybe making money virtual is part of that.
Well, it may be. I mean, I'm not saying, because I don't know enough about it one way or the other. When I pay for things, when I get money, the first thing I do is bless it, put lots of money love energy into it, and I put it out through the system with lots and lots of love. So I figured anybody who gets this is going to get zapped with love and light. I learned that when I was in Bali, when they have little altars in all their stores and stuff. And when they get money, the first thing they do is bless it and go around, bless everything in the store with it, and bless the little altar and whatnot. And I thought, what a lovely, lovely tradition. And so I do that pretty much all the time. I don't know how crypto works, but I'm sure there's a way of shooting love through the crypto, that we have to recognize and end all forms of control and manipulation and domination. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. If you haven't watched 1984 recently, I highly recommend going and watch it.
I just wanted to welcome both Rachel and Geraldine.
Welcome. Paula.
And Paula. And
Um,
going through that, we have several questions that came up with that. Real quick, the book was.
I want to answer Paula first, because Paula wrote a question in the thing. She says, what should she do? She's practically homeless now. And so I'd say, you're being an advanced way shower. You're learning how to live on nothing. And that may be what lots of people have to do. That may be the lesson that you teach other people, is how to live on nothing. That, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. And we've been told in so many ways and so many times that what we need will be given to us. You may, part of my having acreage, I'm sure, is that it will become sort of the place of last resort. Everything will be taken care of. We just have to do what we feel we need to do. Follow your heart. Do you feel the need to go and buy a tent as a backup? If you need to, store some green beans, or, whatever you need to do it. Don't hesitate or try to say, oh, this sounds stupid, or I'm going to buy trees. I have to have my trees. And bring your tent down to my trees. We'll be all set.
And I think going through too is for with Paula's comment is that I feel like Jesus was really there to show us how to handle this time. And a lot of that was that trust, like, come with me in your journey, but you don't know where or how. And a lot of people would join, but then some people wouldn't, especially the rich, because they didn't want to let go of their richness. That means they had to leave all their stuff. That means they had to leave, their possessions. And so I think a lot of us are definitely like, I don't know exactly what's next, but I know it's something. And I've been asked to, I was in my house for 12 years and then it sold, and it's like, okay, it's up and about, and it's being in the flow and trusting and putting it out there. Like, what do you want? Like, I want to make sure what is abundance to you? Is it being able to do anything you want? Is it money? Is it like, you have to really kind of go through and define what's important for you. But I do believe that a lot of us are being asked to let go of what we thought we needed to really move into the journey of trusting and knowing that you will be provided for. You don't know how, you don't know why, you just know that it does. And I learned that, I think it started for me was when I was in my back injury. And that was a very scary thing because I was in so much pain. I couldn't move. I had no job. It was a lot of, I had to just surrender to what is, and the fact that sometimes it's taking it inch by inch, but also coming back to the gratitude. I had to learn how to be so grateful for my body, and so grateful that I had legs, so grateful that I could walk, even though I couldn't feel them all the time or whatnot. But it's coming in gratitude for what we do have, and the trust in this process. Is like Jesus broke the bread for what? There's 4 loaves and it turned into feed thousands. Like, we just go into that. You have everything you will ever need. It's so good to see your face. You can unmute and say hi if you want.
Sorry, I'm always like so confused with Zoom. I never use it.
Well, I'm glad you are.
It's so good to see you.
No, it's so good to see you. You look exactly the same.
Well, thank you. You do too.
Mom, she's the mother of, is it 5 or 6 kids? 5, right? 5.
Only the bravest people literally agree to have children on this planet. And I'm told that's one of the reasons why we have so many teens who are having kids, because none of the people who are having kids to get the new soul, the souls onto this planet that were needed for the future experiences. So they tap the teens. That's why we're getting more and more teens. And we're having fatherless teens, the babies, because the male role is changing so much that if they imprint with this Neanderthal type father, they aren't going to be able to handle the new manhood on the planet. So by having a place where we don't have a lot of fathers on the scene is actually part of the evolution as well.
I can actually totally see that. Unfortunately.
Yep. Well,
unfortunately.
Well, it just goes back to trusting the divine plan. Every detail has been taken care of. We just have to trust it and do our part. And that's an internal awareness. Nobody else, not the best psychic on the planet, can tell you what you need to do. You have to trust that, and it will be in the impulse, and it will be immediate, and it will be just following through.
He's the everything
is taken care of.
Yes, that is so true. My husband and I were listening earlier. I don't know if you guys, I think, are a little off topic now, talking about kids and stuff, but just to bring it back to where I got cut off, it was so interesting hearing you guys talk about New Earth. I never get to hear anyone that I personally know talk about stuff like that. It's really just like my husband and I hashing through things that we see on YouTube. So it's like so awesome to just be part of this group. I'm like super excited about it. It's like amazing.
Val's younger sister. So I've known Rach since she was like 8, I think.
Oh, okay. This is Val's younger sister. That's okay.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
So if I remember right, we had the
I'm gonna mute you guys because he's gonna or myself because he's gonna start crying.
No problem. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And you can always listen to the replay if you need to.
And it's on YouTube as well. YouTube will probably have the best one because it won't be cut off by Instagram. But yes, Mom wrote about it over 30 years ago.
At 30.
I think so.
As my spiritual journey started, it was not. No, it wasn't 30.
90, like okay, what year was it?
I don't know the years. I'm old.
I feel like I was in junior high when it happened.
Just trust me, and it's not been 30. Not been 30. Just trust me.
Well, I'm graduating high school of 25-year reunion. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments or whatnot?
New Earth. Are we already transforming to New Earth? Has it started? Is it 5D? Can we talk about the 5D versus 8D as well, please?
Well, I just went through that. No, it's not a 5D. It's a 3D anchor. It's a lower energy in order so that people can have their experiences in this 3D world without damaging the planet. When this planet was created, it was never meant to be a place of hate and violence and war and suffering and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like going to Disneyland and playing in the toilet and not going out to experience all the joy and stuff. This is a planet where every thought you have becomes a reality. There's no two snowflakes on the entire planet that's ever landed on this planet that are the same. No two grass blades are the same. No two fingerprints the same. No two hair shafts in the whole world. No two people have the same hair shaft. And it was such a planet of diversity and choice, and everything you did created the next thing in your world. It was really a complex planet to put together, but they never thought that humanity would just go into hate and blame and shame and violence and judgment. Just wasn't prepared for. There was no safety net put into place. So with the fall of man, the descent of man, it was a vibratory descent, and that shattered the future of the planet. It's why the call went out to have people come and help. This planet needs help. We have to get people who can uplift the consciousness of this planet so it can survive. And then meanwhile, the people who want to still play their war games and all the other stuff, they can go to this other planet and be an experience. But this planet will not. And so that's what we're here to collectively send out enough love and light. It's why everything we do, we start with a exercise of love and light, because that puts that consciousness on the planet and puts us on notice. When we are in that place of balance and love and kindness and compassion, we are doing our part to raise the vibration. When we're crabbies and means and judgments and fighting and hate and all that other stuff, that's making points for the other team. And so it's with every breath you take, with every day you live, you are either adding to the conscious in a positive way or taking it down in a negative way. You decide. And then multiply that on a mass scale with everybody on the planet. We need to move into love and light in order to sustain the planet. And we were sent on another rescue mission at one point in time, and we didn't make it. It failed. And many of us have that memory of losing that planet in our cellular memory, and it's not pleasant. So we have, many people have this like, I got to do this now, like a real, I got to save the trees, or I've got to save the frogs, or I got to do this, because somehow it's like they feel like the whole thing is on them. But in that rush, in that judgment, in that intensity, they're actually lowering the vibration. So we just have to be nice. No, they won't. You won't move to that planet through a physical move. It's through death and reincarnation that you'll come into this other experience, or into moving that with the choices you make. Because again, we make this life thing so simplistic, and it's not simplistic. It's way beyond. And that's why we have lots of children. I'm told that we're just cracking the door on the awareness of how it works, but it'll be the future generations that take us into full truth. But when let's say you're going along and all of a sudden you meet this guy and he's wonderful, but you're married and you have kids and he's wonderful, and you're married and have kids and he's wonderful. And so you don't know what to do. And so at this pivot point, you have to make a decision. Do you go left or do you go right? And whatever decision you make, you go and experience that. However, there's an aspect of you that you continue with this other experience as well. You don't choose, you actually continue with both. So you go through this experience and this experience, but you're only conscious of the one that you consciously chose. But there's another aspect of you living this other experience. And if you watch enough YouTubes, you'll see people who've had very physical experiences where there's been bleed through from other experiences. And that's part of what's going. So it won't be Richard Branson on his rocket to the moon or rocket to Irion. It will be through a consciousness journey, not a physical journey. It'll be, I'm guessing there has been some scientific acknowledgement if there's another planet out there and they're getting some information and feedback on it. But I think it'll be decades before we're ready to really recognize it as another form of this life. And there may be some weird stuff go on in the skies when we have formally meet, but that's yet to be determined. We're living in exciting times, so enjoy the journey. The history books are going to record this as the most monumental time on the planet. We look back at the amazing things that went on during the very long history of Egypt, but nothing compared to what's happening now. And if Jeff and I don't know Richard Branson so much, but Bezos and the Bill Gates and those kind of people continue with their greed and their domination, their manipulation, and their other kind of things, they'll end up on that planet because they're going to have to work through their issues and stuff, but they won't be able to do it on this planet. This planet is going to evolve into its next level, which is a fifth dimensional consciousness, which is where we consciously are aware that we are all one, and that what I do affects you, and what you do affects me, and what we do affects this planet, and what this planet does affects all of us. And so we're moving into the oneness, that we are all one. And so this planet will be in that state. Okay. It's an exciting, exciting time. And if you can look at it as an adventure, as an exciting, exploration of things unknown, it becomes that. And if you look at it as, oh no, not another energy hit, not I gotta look at my shadows again, oh my gosh. And you go into it with that kind of trepidation and apprehension, you're not going to enjoy the journey. The resistance, the other kind of things are going to make it much more uncomfortable. So just relax and enjoy it. Okay, Stacy, we're at 8:39. I really think that we've come to a point where we can say that we can play. We're going to do it again Thursday. If you want to join us on Thursday.
So I love all the new faces. So thank you very much for joining us and coming on Zoom. I think that's always fun to be able to connect. So I totally love and appreciate you all. we're in this together. And so for me, when like even being able to just connect and talk like that, it is very good for my soul and my tribe. And being able to connect with tribe is kind of everything. Like Esme actually got on. Esme's with us all the time. Geraldine, how did you find it? I think you came through. Did you, or you're new for me?
Hi.
Hi.
I was just it's actually 2:30 in the morning here in Ireland, and I went on YouTube and I found Sean Stone's interview.
Oh, okay.
And so I started to listen to the interview, and then I started to just bring down my protection and my guidance, and I could feel a lot of healing energy coming through me. But it was really full on, and then I started to feel sick. I thought I was going to be really sick, so I went downstairs and had something to eat. And then the next thing, and then they say there's no such thing as coincidences. But the next thing, I put a search in for your name onto YouTube, and then the live feed came up. And I thought, oh, there's something going on here. So I just thought I would sort of like tune in and have a little listen, even though it's late. I thought, this is, I enjoyed the things that you were saying, and I resonated with the things you were saying about not giving the darker forces your anger, but to give them your love.
Yeah.
And so I thought, yeah, I need to listen in and just... tired or not tired, I'm just listening away here.
Well, where are you from?
Ireland.
I'm from Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been a lot of times to Scotland and England. I've never been to Ireland or Wales yet, so I've got to get there yet.
Lovely. I look forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I look forward to it too, and thank you for joining us. That's funny and perfect. Glad that you're here. I just put in the Thursday Zoom number into it.
So the number she just put in the chat, we have 2 that are free. So Thursday is just very open spirituality questions. So dimensions, whether it's everything, aliens, it kind of all comes up, just kind of like today. It's where the questions kind of lead. And then on Sunday, we usually go private. We didn't go private because we stayed pretty PC on the questions. Because of censorship, we have to kind of be careful what we actually talk about, but it's very much open conversations and we love the questions. And I'm assuming that would also be you then here too, about the dimensional questions, right?
Yep.
On YouTube. Okay. Well, I love it. Well, it's the joy. And the other book, by the way, someone was asking about dimensions. Mom has the book behind her. I usually have my copies, but again, I'm living in storage right now. Is the dimensions, can you show it?
Dimensions and the awakening of divine consciousness. And my books, each book are very different, and there's really no sequence of them, but it's like different chunks of what people are going through and having trouble with. And it's like, oh, then we need a book on that. And so this one talks about what the dimensions are. And then as we move from 3rd to 5th, what are some of the changes and some of the things going on and how to best deal with them. It's all sort of practical help kind of thing. And
that's understanding the journey from 3rd to 5th dimension, right?
Yeah, I've been doing the calls before Zoom, but for years and years and years, because people need to discuss this. I mean, when your life is turning upside down, and it's not making sense, you need to have a place to go to talk. And then I don't know how many months ago I was told to start the Sunday night group for politics, because again, as these things are happening, we're being triggered and we're being manipulated. And so having a way of sort of getting anchor. I hope none of you say, oh, I've got to, Heather speaks the gospel and it's the only way. You have to always learn how to go within and trust your own inner sources, that my truth may be different than the truth that you need. And you hear Stacy has a truth that's different than my truth. You have to be able to listen and hear your own truth, and it may be different. I'm in Central Time. It was a question that came up. I'm in Central Time and near Chicago, Crown Point, Indiana. I'm sure you've all heard of it. And so when I state time, it is through Central Time. I do private sessions should you feel like the need to do that. And we do offer classes that are on various topics. So when there's a topic, we pump a master class for it. But for these, it's about conversations. It's about what are the issues that you're facing? What do you want to know? How can I assist you in that journey? Because that's really the thing that's most important. It's your journey is extremely important. I'm told my gift, my strength, my virtue is that I'm so normal. That I'm normal looking, I've got normal intelligence, I've got normal abilities, that everything about me is normal. So when someone is going through it, they go, well, if Heather can do this, I can do this too, because she's so normal. And so that's really my purpose. I was in the college classroom, I lectured for 30 years. I don't like to lecture. I like engagement. And so in the master classes, I do more direct instruction. But for these calls, both Thursday and Sunday, I'd like to have the ability to ask questions and interact so that we can be sure we're meeting your needs and not just, feeding our egos. With that, last opportunity for questions or comments.
Well, I want to say that's also like Claudia, there's so many people on here that coincidentally came to us and found us. And, by accident, someone said that you came up through IG. I'm the one that tries to get mom to go more reachable. So this is my excitement when I get to see you all starting to come in, because it's to me, it's part of.
And I want to be invited to your countries to speak. I like travel and doing those things. So I'll look forward to going to Ireland to do some workshops and stuff. And I used to, before the COVID experience, I had lots of travel, and hasn't happened as much now.
Well, and real quick, there's a question about 5D to 8D. What's the dimension where you lose the physicality? Isn't that around 7 to 9?
Each dimension has its own experiences. Again, everything in the universe is about experiences. We just want to experience. So in 5D, we learn how to be a sort of aware of the oneness. We were always part of the oneness, but in 3D it was separate. You were there and I was here, and that table's there and I'm here. We expect it sort of to become, when we move dimensions, like a play where the scene all changes and the new backdrop comes down. It's not going to be that way at all. It's about how we perceive it will shift. The world as we know it isn't going to do a whole lot of changes. From 5D, you move into 6D. 6D is beyond language. So in 6D, you get the symbols, you get the tones, you get the music. It's why you can listen to something and have this experience and be completely transformed. But when you try to explain to someone, there's no words for it because it just doesn't fit into our language system. Mm-hmm. And so the Reiki symbols, and you look at all the different things out there, that's part of our 6D experience. And then you move in, and communication is at a soul level at that point. You're not using words and the things we know now. And then you move into 7th dimension. 7th dimension is the individuation. You're still an individual as part of a group, but you're aware of your group, but you no longer have the physical parameter. I sort of talk about it as being like a drop in the ocean and being very aware of what your drop is, but recognizing there's no boundaries with the ocean. You're all at a different level. And in 8th dimension, your individuation from 7th dimension combines with other individuations, and you become a collective consciousness. There are people who say they're channeling a collective consciousness. That would be an 8th dimensional being. Many of you are 8th dimensional beings. And what happens at that level is like, okay, can we make the band sing together? Can we make the band play together? Where it's like this aspect of you has developed great musical skills, and this one has developed great writing skills, and this one's developed great independence as an explorer. And so you have this constant battle going on within you of what do I do? How do I do it? And so you have to learn how to work in harmony within yourself. And that's the challenge that you face in 8th dimensional consciousnesses. And you have an ambassador that funnels all of the collective experiences and wisdom of all these other beings. 8th dimensional consciousness are very, very powerful, and you can move from a collection of maybe 3 or 4 all the way to a collection of thousands of consciousness that came in. Leonardo da Vinci and some of those other Renaissance people that had multi-talented were certainly 8th dimensional conscious. They spend lifetimes and lifetimes in developing this skill and this skill and this skill, and they can do so many things. Thomas Jefferson is an example, because they had so many different things they could do. There was always a struggle. What do I do now? Because I have so many options. That's the meeting of that current challenge. And then you move into 9th dimension, which are planets. You create environments for other people to learn from, or other beings to learn from. Earth is a 9th dimensional consciousness. And then from there, you go into the 10th dimensional consciousness, where you help design, create, actualize the planets. And those beings who were the 10th dimensional consciousness that helped put together, design, and create Earth are the ones that are so passionate about fixing it, because they screwed up. They didn't put any safety factors in. They never thought people would choose hate, violence, judgment, when they can have anything. You can have anything. And we chose all the icky stuff.
Yeah.
So now we are all here as volunteers to say, I'll just be here and be nice and be loving. And you are doing your mission when you are radiating pure love. That's our goal. It's not about what job you hold or how much money you make, or, it's how are you influencing? Yes. How are you influencing the world to be a happier, joyful place? I have a friend, Sandy Melton, who I met on my first trip to Paris. When I went to Egypt, my first trip to Egypt, but we had a layover in Paris. So I met her in Paris, but it was on a trip to Egypt. And she's the most interesting character. She's got a master's in counseling and stuff, but didn't really hold her interest. So she's got a job on an airline so that she could get free airfare. And so, and she bought some condos not condos, timeshares, so she could get places all over the place. And I think when she retired from the airline, she had a minimal retirement, like $97, but she lives like a queen with no money, or very little money, and just fucks around, and she can talk to anybody, and her laugh is infectious, and she's just a person who just flits like a butterfly, sharing joy. She never met a person she didn't know, and she has no money. For one time for her birthday, she caught a plane and she flew from New York. She had breakfast in New York for her birthday, and then she had lunch in Chicago, and then she had dinner in Los Angeles. And, she just is always doing these incredible things. She called me one day and just, "You want to go to Australia?" And I said, "Sure." She goes, "Can you be ready within a couple days?" And I said, "Sure." And so she had won this 2 round trip, all expense paid, to Australia for a wine tasting. So I did a wine tasting through Australia. But it's that she gets free hotel rooms in Las Vegas for doing the poker tournament. She never played poker before, but she learned how to play the game so she could enter the tournament, and she gets free rooms in Las Vegas. And she came in 3rd in this tournament, this poker tournament. And so now they think she's a big gambler, and they're always giving her all these perks and benefits. But, that's the kind of experiences she has, and that's the kind of attraction she has to everything, And so luckily I'm a friend. Jill calls and, "You want to go to here?" Yep, I do. I want to go there. And so we've just done all kinds of adventures, but it's never been money. And so the mindset is, if your mindset is, I have to have the money to do X, you won't get X. So just focus on what you want and be joyful. It is the joy and the fun and the happiness that attracts good things to you. And so I attracted Geraldine. Yay! And all of you others. Paula, if you'll unmute yourself, I'd love to hear a little bit of your story. Or not. Again, we don't want to put you in the spot, but
Sorry, I had to just leave the room. I'm not in my own place.
oh, okay, no problem.
My story, well, I woke up about 7 years ago,
Where are you from?
and I'm from Canada. I'm
Okay.
now in Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
And anyway, circumstances, I'm kind of homeless. I'm just living off people's couches right now. But no, I was in the corporate world before, and I lost my job about 2.5 years ago. But I actually, I think the universe answered my prayers because I was not happy there. And the only way to get you out of a situation is to force you out. And I haven't looked back. Not interested in going back into the matrix world. Still searching and seeking. But anyway, 7 years, I spiritually awakened. My mom nearly died. I basically called out to Mother Mary on her deathbed as we were told to give our goodbyes. And I think that's what started everything. I started seeing signs after that. It didn't make any sense. And then, as I said, about 4 years ago is when I started noticing that I was not happy in my job. And then 2.5 years ago, I lost my job. And since then, I've been searching and seeking. And I had that Kundalini aftermath last year, and then other gifts sort of awakened after that subsequently. And things like hearing things, smelling things. I've always been empathic, knowing things. But again, I'm still searching for my gifts. And one of the things I learned recently is that the universe is within you. You are the universe. And if you emanate joy, as you were saying, and if you do the things you love, just live in the now moment, then things will come out of the blue towards you. And some things are starting to happen. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So it's changing your frequency. And you're like a magnet. You attract high vibrations if you emanate high vibrations. And that magic it's all of a sudden like I'm awakening yet again. I feel like there's different levels to it's like an onion, peeling back an onion. There's so many levels to it. I've gone through the dark night of the soul.
It never ends. It never ends.
It never ends. Absolutely. It's all like lessons are blessings, like these are the lessons, and it's how we perceive it. So yes, I'm basically learning as I go, and I'm trying to discover what are my gifts. And what I do realize now is I am whole and I'm complete, and I am the gift already. It already lies within me. It's now, we are all conscious beings. We are all conscious. It's just a matter of what level of consciousness are you at. It's what you notice. If I tell you don't look at the pink elephant in the room, you're looking at the pink elephant in the room. It's all in front of us. All the answers are within us, around us, in front of us. You just got to be conscious of it. And that's the stage I'm at. Learning.
And we've all heard like attracts like. But what happens is whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're doing, we become that vibration. That is what becomes the primary force in our mix. And then, of course, we're attracting things at that vibratory level. So if I'm looking at joy and helpful and seeing everybody as friends and whatnot, that's who we're drawing and what we're drawing to us. And Sandy's a perfect example of that. Again, the adventures we've had together has been just a hoot.
That's amazing that you mentioned your friend Sandy, because I am a wanderer. If you look at my Instagram page, I love to travel the world. I haven't since I've lost my job. And I found that so interesting. You're right. We don't need money. That was like, wow, that's an aha moment. We can do it other ways. That's the discovery,
Well, and that's the creativity. When we create, we come from the soul. And so when we're open to creative alternatives, that's when the soul can do its magic. The soul has the perfect pattern for everything that we're doing. The soul's done it all. It's now just experiencing it in a physical experience. So we just have to be more trusting of ourselves. Again, trust is a big word. You don't trust, pack it up. It's not going to be a fun ride. But if you can trust yourself and trust the world and trust, the world you operate in, then you attract trustworthy people.
And I would add to that, it's super important to also be open to receive, because you might be calling this in and getting in, maybe someone gives the opportunity, but then you don't want to receiving is so important. If you would have said, I don't know about Australia, like you were open to receiving, so you got to experience that. I think receiving is also a huge part of that.
That's amazing that you said that, because I've been invited as a guest on a couple of Instagram, what do you call it, IGTV, and I've said no because I'm such an introvert. Like, I don't want to be seen. I don't like when people look at me. Like here in the conversation, if I was in my right place, I wouldn't mind. But in terms of a larger group, I love this. I love the two-way conversation. IGTV is one way. It's one-sided. You're just there talking, unless you're having a conversation with someone. But I feel like millions of people could be listening and watching, and that it's just interesting. It's a perception. It's one of my fears, I suppose. And yeah, I haven't been receiving.
Well, and because you're so stuck on thinking about yourself, you're ego driven. If you're worried about people looking at you and you're worried how people are going to receive you, that's pure ego, and it's self-centered. So when you're trying to make not an attention of yourself, is what you're doing is drawing more attention to yourself. So get over yourself.
That's true. It's because I'm talking right now to people who are like-minded, and I feel like I don't have to teach it to you or explain it to you. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't matter. You're here to provide a message to the world, and you've got your message in a closet. So you have to, there's more spiritual people in the closet than there are gays. You got to stop worrying about yourself and speak your truth, and whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens, you're going to handle it. But you have to come and be authentic, be in your reality, in your truth, and whatever happens, happens.
And that is what has been happening the last few years, because I told you before, I was in the corporate world, which is so ego driven. It's meaningless work. And I had for a while, I was like, oh, what can I post? What can I say? Oh my gosh, how are people going to see me? We're the crazy ones, right? The spiritual woohoo stuff, and then I said, I unblocked a few people because I'm like, they're going to start judging me. And then I left a few people on there.
So you judged them before they could judge you. Think about that. You prejudged and projected what they're going to say about you. So in order not to have that happen, you cut them off. You're creating your own reality, kid. Quit it.
That is true. I was protecting myself. I thought, because I thought, oh, I'll probably one day go back to the corporate world.
And that's a perfect example of an inappropriate, unhealthy boundary.
Yeah.
You've drawn a wall around yourself that doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
But it certainly has consequences in your life. You're talking about saying yes to experiences. The only thing I've ever said no to, I could kick myself 100 times over, because I wonder what would have happened if. And the producers of Larry King Live called and asked me to be on their show. And I thought, I'm not ready yet. I need more time. It's like, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I say no to Larry King? But I did.
Wow.
So again, it taught me a lot about saying no. Now it's like, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. I can do this.
And one thing I want you to know, that if you're new to this, I've known my mom for a very long time, and in many lifetimes. So one of the things is she will see the best in you, but she will not hesitate in speaking her truth. Sometimes it comes across as harsh. Sometimes it comes across as mean as some other people, but know that she is saying the most direct way to get you into your most direct divine self. So it's always with love. It's always It's not always the most gentle way of saying things or handling things, but know that she will have your back a millionfold. And she also, as she can check into the Kashik, she can read your energies. She knows just kind of how to get to the fastest, quickest thing. So it's, I love that sometimes it takes a little bravery, and I love that. And I appreciate that you just here taking it in, because she's an incredible person. She does spirit sprinkles sometimes in the calls too.
Only on Thursdays. Only in the spirit calls.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, like you sometimes can be harsh, but at the same time, it is always with love. And
I call it direct, open, honest, direct with words, and truth. You know, so many people are so pussyfooting around the truth that it becomes distorted. My job is to deliver messages. I'm constantly being given information about you guys and what needs to be said, and I say it. I don't screen it. I don't filter it. I don't soften it. I do my best to deliver it as directly as I get it. And if people take offense of it, it's not my business. My job is not how you receive my information. My job is to deliver it as pure and as clear as possible without distortion. And then if I've lost a lot of friends, even on the calls, I've had people who didn't come back because they were offended. You know, that's part of their journey. You know, and each of you have a journey that you're on, and being able to talk directly and honestly and openly about the things that are important. So
I love that directness. No, if I don't take any offense to it, not at all.
good. I'll try harder next time.
No,
No,
she's
in fact, I can be a direct person. Some people say I'm too direct. Well, soft and direct, but
Well, first of all, the people who tell you they're too direct is because they're not ready for your message. And so one of the things I do is I in my real world, in my everyday world, I only deliver messages to people who've asked for it or who have indicated they want it. I've long since learned that you don't cast your pearls before swine, you know. So,
yeah.
you know, you make sure your audience wants the information.
yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're she does all kinds of things in her private sessions. I think it's 65 for half hour and 100 for an hour, correct?
No, but it's okay.
Okay.
So are those books behind you? Did you write them?
I did. I actually have more, but these are the ones that put out. Yes. We'll pretend this is back in place. Yes, this is my self-promotion, my books. First book was Many Were Called. Second book was Perfect Power, which talks about this is a story of all what we're going through. Perfect Power and Consciousness is about harmonizing body, mind, and spirit, because you got to learn how to get along with yourself. And then, and many people are at war with their war of their body.
Yeah, that's me.
And yeah, we'll quit it. And then interdimensional communication is about our connection with spirit. And then exploring life's last frontier is about the world of death, dying, and letting go, because so many people go bonkers when people die, but it's a natural part of life, and it's actually the celebration, and it's a good thing. So it takes this life of three people who were alive and then follows them through their death experience. And I actually went into the death experience to be able to explain it. Interesting. And then I wrote Egypt, a spiritual traveler's guide, because Egypt is very important in my life. And then Dimensions is the last book. And I have another book out, but I haven't got copies of it, but I have to check, which is on the judgment. No more judgment.
I'm interested about the Dimensions book, because I feel sometimes I can meet other people in different dimensions in the cosmic planets. In fact, I've experienced where I've had certain a couple weeks ago, where I'm having certain pains, and I'm talking to someone on another side of the world, and they're experiencing the same thing. And this is with two different people in different parts of the world. And I find that so interesting.
That goes along with your energy experiences. Is your energy exploded with the Kundalini, and then having all these other things the more energy you're putting out, you're literally like, this is not like it's like, but it's a language that people can understand. It's like your energy permeates others, and you're getting that feedback from others. So it goes along with the higher consciousness.
Is that me causing it? Or
It's not causing it, it just happens.
happens? Yeah.
Okay, a tub of hot water, and we put a green tea here and a black tea bag here. Two different teas, same hot water. Eventually, those teas are going to mix, and that's energetically what's happening. That your energy is here, but because your energy is stronger, it's permeating the energy of others, and you're able to experience, draw, learn from.
I also believe too, I think part of my journey is healing and doing the healing work. And I think that's many reasons, but one of the things I will do too is people's bodies will talk to me and I'll feel it. So like, for example, I was around someone who did get the jab and they spent 5 days in the hospital in pain. And I left them one night and like, I had to leave. I was feeling such weird stomach pains that I was like, what is going on? And then in the way back, I was like, oh my gosh. So I called them. I was like, when you were in the hospital, was this the pain you were feeling? Was it in this location? And did it feel like that? And it's like, oh, I'm picking up on their body. So sometimes I find as a healer, your body will be shown other things within other people and you'll feel it exactly what it is. And then what I do is I'll talk to them and be like, this is one of the things I find. How do you feel if I send you some Reiki, or can I send you, whatever? Do you want me to send you some healing energy? And then I always get permission. And with their permission, then I can kind of talk and do things. But I find that it's a lot more common for me to definitely have interaction and being able to pick up on different things, because that's also maybe why you help them to clear certain things.
That's interesting. Never thought of that.
And some people, like healers, will get their hands will start pulsating. Like I can just feel it. It's like their body's talking to me, like, please help me. So it's part of our gifts. Yay.
Well, after that Kundalini aftermath, I started hearing things like I'd be in the car. Well, anyway, I would hear my mom calling me, but she wasn't anywhere near me. I'd hear Paula.
But again, it's all the energy, just like with your radio, sometimes you'll get static and pick up 2 or 3 channels at the same time. All that radio is doing is receiving the vibrations, the energy, the frequencies that are already in that environment. And so as you increase your tuning ability, you're pulling in lots of things. That's what fourth dimension is. It's hearing what can't be heard, seeing what can't be seen, knowing what can't be known. It's moving beyond your senses. It's the transitory dimension from third, hardcore 5 senses, into fifth, all one. And so in that fourth dimension, all of your perceptions are expanding. So it's totally, it's totally typical. Congratulations, you're normal. For a weird person, you're normal.
It was shocking. I've heard of these things. I started smelling things. I could tell when people are lying. I start hearing roosters. It's stupid.
That's stupid. Quit labeling it that. That's a judgment, and that will literally impact your vibration. It's just what is. I highly recommend that you keep a journal so that you can begin to confirm to yourself what you're doing, so that you gain more confidence and respect for it. The way you talk, if you were talking about me that way, I wouldn't be happy, because it's very disrespectful. And yet some of your greatest assets, you're disrespecting, and you don't want to do that.
That's very true. I've talked to someone who has a lot of gifts and they said the same thing. So I thank you for letting me know that, reminding me.
It's my job. A lot of times we discount something sort of to preempt somebody else's discounting it. If I make fun of it, then they can't make fun of it because I've already made fun of it. So it's a way of sort of disarming someone else. And that goes along with your other thing about the boundaries and, not showing up and all that kind of stuff. You have some persecution issues you might want to look at. You probably had your head chopped off a few times or burned at the stake. And so you're a little skittish.
I am. I've had dreams about, I was in Egypt. I was some sort of architect, like overlooking the people working, and my legs were chopped off. So it was just, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've only recently in this lifetime, been able to have a bare neck. because I've had my head chopped off so much that I would always have scarves or turtlenecks, or, it was like if my neck was open and vulnerable, I was in danger. And so I consider this to be great progress. But, again, I just would just jump in the next body and come back. So.
And
now I just realized this is why I get swollen ankles a lot.
Yeah, they're very connected. So sit and have a conversation with your legs and deal with your issues, deal with your awarenesses, and then get over them. So, as I lovingly say, build a bridge and get over it. It doesn't serve you, it holds you back. So just.
And part of the journey for unconditional love is to have that within self. And we are programmed to not be connected to ourselves, to not like ourselves, to think that, oh, we need this cream for this or this for that. And, oh, we should, like, it is time to love all of this, birthmarks, wrinkles, whatever. It's part of the human experience, and it's not good. It's not bad. It just is. But the first and foremost is loving ourselves. And I think right now that's one of the things that's really set intentions, to love and be kind to yourself.
And if you love me and Stacy, tell your friends about our conversation on Sunday night and on Thursday night, and we can have even a bigger international group. We have lots of people online, but I don't see them. Stacy's the only one that sees them. So I see the people on Zoom, and I'm always thrilled to see Mayfer and everybody. It's Melrelda and Josie. When Josie started, she didn't show us her face either. Now she's full bloom. So thank you all for showing up, Geraldine and Nelsie and Rachel and everybody. So every conversation is different. Everything, we talk about, the truth is always there, but every week we have different conversations and different topics come up based on what's coming up in your world. But my job is to serve.
That sounds good. So, Stacy, will you be advertising this on Instagram?
Advertising what?
The next lives? Because that's always
I think that's a no when she doesn't even know what she's. I don't know. So
I usually don't. I'm doing my best, from Claudia getting on me to be able to send out reminders. But we do it every Thursday, every Sunday, the same time and the same number. So Thursday Zoom is 428-733-218. I'll repeat that. Zoom on Thursday is 428-733-218. And then the one for today, here, actually what I'll do is I'll just do this. So this is, if you want to take a screenshot, this will give you both of the Zooms. There you go.
Okay.
And then
so what time?
It's
6 p.m. Central.
4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know.
2 o'clock in Ireland.
Very early.
We don't put the Ireland time on our list, but 2 o'clock Central.
I'll put
6
in
o'clock. 2 o'clock.
I'll advertise in my story highlights.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you. And all of you are welcome to do that.
Go through some of my old things that I'll have on there about that with the information and stuff. And there's a picture of Mom and I. I look a lot different because the pictures were a couple years ago, but hey.
It was fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you sleep tight, and remember, just be sweet to the world. And we'll see you all Thursday.
Love your accent, Geraldine. Do you have a lot of connection with the elementals?
Yes.
We did
we've had several conversations about them. So
I missed them.
Like, oh, the elementals are joining.
They're on Stacy's YouTube. So
right, I'll have a little look.
Yeah, and you can even do that during the day, but on Stacy's YouTube channel.
Esme would remember. Esme, she might know when that was. But I think we had this specifically, that class started because so many questions that Jen had. But you carry it to me.
Whatever.
Elemental energy.
Well, it's 9:18. Let's all say goodnight because it's 3 hours and almost 20 minutes into the experience. And I think that's enough exposure for one evening, right? So I love you all. Have a wonderful time till we next see you or whenever. So
thank you.
Heather at
Bye.
heatherharder.com in case you want to reach out to me.
So
Okay.
Heather at
And
heatherharder.com.
Thank
It's
you.
heatherharder.com is the website. Mine's staceyharder.com. And you can also private message me or find us on YouTube. We love you. Thank you so much.
I have an Instagram channel.
Yes, an Instagram. Stacey Harder is the same.
I don't put anything on it, but soon. All right. Love you. Take
Okay.
care.